Well, 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 it's Freaky Friday again on your Protection from Deception, TFRLive.com. I'm Joe Joseph along with Kev Baker and Scotty Lopez. And it's Friday. And by the way, we just so happen to be simulcasting on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes, the Kev Baker Show channel. That's right. And in high definition. Ha!
You're looking glorious, Joe.
I'm feeling glow. I glow indeed.
You do.
With my 1080p.
You do. You look
He
like
does.
doesn't he, Scott?
Doesn't he look like he has like a somewhat of an aura around him
He
or
does.
something? It's very.
It's a glow, if you will.
I'm liking it, dude. I'm liking it. But how you doing, man? Because you've got like a full new setup this week, Joe. It must be like being in a new command center.
It is. It's very nice indeed.
Enjoying it? Good. A big warm welcome to everyone over in the Wookiee Cave at tfrlive.com/chat. Hope you're all doing well. I'll be in there in a moment to give you all your shout out, the roll call of the Wookiees. Scotty Lopez, how you doing, sir? I'm gonna actually flip your camera around, Scott, so that when you look at your other monitor, it looks like you're looking at Joe. You can even reach across and kiss him in the ear. Do you know what I mean?
It's so funny.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that. Give me that horizontal flip there, and yeah, because it does. It looks like I'm looking away.
You ready?
Yeah, because I do.
There he goes. Look at that. Look, just like that.
See, nice.
There
we go.
Now we can both kiss Joe in the ear. Look, brilliant. See? Well, it'd help if you... Now, Joe, I don't know if that was like a muted, but we didn't hear your favourite noise, man.
No, you didn't want to hear my noise.
No. So, how's it going, gents? How's the week been? I've had a really busy week. Lots of streaming, lots of shows, lots going on in the world, guys. It's like Freaky Friday right now. It's like built for Freaky Friday, this world. There's so much freaky crap going down. You know? Yes.
Yeah, freaky word.
Very freaky.
Dude, what about, okay, so how about that hurricane and the fact that it went like over Grand Bahamas and then just went and just stopped. And it was like being in a tornado for 2 days. I mean, damn.
That was insane. Yeah. You know, I talked about that with Kev, and I actually made some videos on Facebook when it was doing that. And I mean, that's pretty unprecedented. You know, that doesn't happen that often.
Ever hearing anything like that ever. Not that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it stalled out over Grand Bahama Island and just sat there as a Category 5 for like 18. Can you imagine going through the eye wall of a hurricane for 18 hours, 18 to 24 hours?
God, man. I mean, that's just nuts.
I can't.
You're talking about
Joe,
like an
hellish,
EF2,
man.
EF3. Just being in an EF2 or EF3 for that long. What do you do? You know, that's why they said, well, about 30 are dead. 30? Have you seen that place? Wow. I mean, it is devastated. It's funny. Yeah. I saw that Sean Connery also has a mansion in Grand Bahama Island, but where he lives in relation to where the eye wall hit, he's about 90 miles away on the other side of the island. So he got away relatively unscathed relative to what happened.
Was he shaken, not stirred?
Yeah, pretty much. and he said, that, you know, fortunately for them, you know, they've been through this before and they prepared and But what happened there? How do you prepare for that? I don't think anybody could prepare for that. Could you imagine, like, the only way I could ever see getting through that is basically if you have a setup similar to the way you have it in the Midwest, you know, Scotty, with the storm cellars.
I don't even know if that would be safe because of all of the flooding in a hurricane.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because you've got that to consider too.
Oh, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't think that was like a genuine hurricane? You know, they were flooding out the tunnels that they take all the children in, right? It wasn't a real hurricane. It was just a scupper, the deep state. Come on, guys.
Oh, my Did anybody say that?
Yeah.
Is that something? Are you kidding?
No, I was showing Scott. I thought it was just one clown that was saying it, but then my good friend Uni went and found 3 or 4 clowns that were saying it. Yeah, it was basically an attack on the deep state. Trump said a word in his speech that was code for "we're flooding the tunnels" that the bad P people use. And I'm not making that up.
Are you kidding? I can't believe that people would even think to come up with something stupid like that. Okay,
What's worse, making that up or that people that they have brainwashed actually believe it?
I don't know. Ow.
You had that being pushed, and then you also had other people saying that the entire hurricane was fake, that it was a deep state psyop, and that it wasn't.
So
wasn't happening.
That was fake, or all hurricanes are fake? I don't know.
Just this one. Just this one.
Just this one, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't see it on radar. Oh yeah, well yeah, if the
on radar, what are they talking about? Can't see it on radar.
I know, it's weird.
There was satellite photos of the damn thing.
Yeah, well, hang on a minute, right? You can't count satellite photos because satellites aren't real. Space doesn't exist, so they're obviously fake, Joe. You're not going to be able to debunk these people with evidence like that.
But they are real. They're just on a screen, but they're real on the screen. Okay, they're there somehow, some way. They're there.
I don't know, dude. This is the world we live in now.
I mean, are you serious?
Uh-huh.
I think that was probably one of the most ridiculous things I've heard so far this year. It definitely was. It definitely was the most ridiculous thing of the week for me. Like, wow, the hurricane was fake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And for anyone out there that thinks these guys, they know we like a laugh. Okay, we like to get a bit boisterous, have a couple of jokes, a bit of giggles. We're not making this up, folks. We're being dead serious here. There were people saying that never happened.
I can't believe
loss of life in Grand Bahamas, people, dying and things. No, it's all deep. It's just a fake, okay? It's a fake. It's the deep state being attacked by the white hats and Donald Trump.
White hats, yeah. So wait. Are you saying that Ben Fulford and his 1,000 ninjas are about to finally unleash their fury upon
only if
all evil?
Only if the Red Dragon ambassador allows it.
Hey Kev, if the deep state faked it, does that make it a deep fake?
Oh, we like it. But Nancy is admiring your new camera, Joe. Look at the size of that cup, dude. That's like Goliath's cup. It's like a Nephilim.
Yeah, exactly. Joe's got his Nephilim coffee mug.
It is my Nephilim coffee cup. Shut up.
Okay, so let's get the ceremonial shouting out of the Wookiees from the Wookiee Cave over at tfrlive.com/chat. So a big hello to everyone in there. We got my good friend, Just a Guy. We have Silamo, the Wookiee, Cold Brews, Paradoxical Anomaly. We have Armand, my good friend in there, Waffle Buddy, Polynation, the man that keeps my audio in check. He's like my sound engineer out there in the real world. We've got Freeman, Joseph Skynet, all one, Non-Profit Freedom, Bam, Luren's Epic Journey Man. How you doing, brother? Bill 13. Can I call you Bill 12 or Bill 14? Because there's absolutely nothing that's unlucky about you, Bill. We've got the Worried Sheep. It knows I'm in the room. We have Trudy Glenn. Andrea from all the way down under in New Zealand. Yes, New Zealand is real, folks. I know there's people that think it isn't, but it's real. And then we have Talkative Humanoid. So a big shout out to all of you over there. And I thought, Spoonman. We've got Spoonman88. Just got in there on time. So big shout out to everyone in the chat room on TFR. Big shout out to everyone on TFR Live on the website, tfrlive.com. Big shout out to everyone on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and of course to everyone over on the YouTube as well. This is Freaky Friday. You guessed it. It gets freaky. It's Friday. and I'm sure we've got so much to get into, boys. So,
God,
Joe
it's
Joseph,
nuts.
look at you. I can actually use your camera shots. Like I could take a still image
Oh,
of you right now.
Seb,
And
what have I done?
I don't know what you've
What
done, dude.
have I done?
I know. You were getting jealous of my like dashing good looks in HD, and you thought, come on, I need to knock this baker off his perch here. But you're looking fantasticals, Joe.
Oh yeah, sure.
Get your
Thanks.
fantasticals out.
Yeah, my fantasticals. Yeah.
Yeah, I said fantasticals. Calm down, Joe. Calm down. So where are we kicking off tonight, boys? We've got so much to get into. Oh, come on. Don't look. Why do you leave me hanging like this? People are like, come on. They're so cruel.
Let's start off with this one. The Silicon Valley heavyweights who want to settle the moon. So apparently, China wants to send people there now. United States does. What did they say in 2024 is NASA's target for another moon mission? In fact, it says just about every country, this is Bloomberg, with a space program has some sort of lunar ambition that they hope will play out over the next few years. As a matter of fact, I think India launched a moon mission here today or yesterday or something. It was recently. It says now there's a new entrance in the space race, a nonprofit called the Open Lunar Foundation, and it's based in San Francisco. Of course it's based in San Francisco. It has to be.
Has to be with that crew, you know.
It's a group of tech executives and engineers, many of them with former ties to NASA, who have serious ambitions to create a lunar settlement. So the driving ethos behind the foundation is to start a development that would not be beholden to a particular country or billionaire. Instead, as the group's name suggests, Open Lunar wants to create technology for exploring and living on the moon as a type of collaborative effort. So this is where the sovereign citizens are going. This is it, Kev.
You think so?
They're going to the moon.
Could be.
Yeah, this is it. Everybody that gave sovereign citizens
A hard time, me included.
no, I'm right. Look at this now. See, now they're laughing at you. See, they're going to be up on the moon saying, ha, 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 look at us.
Do you think?
We're living. Well, yeah, absolutely. They may be getting radiated a little bit. It's,
That's
you
okay.
know, it's, you win some, you lose some. But it is what it is. And I think that it's going to be sovereign citizens living on the moon. That's what I got.
That's what you got?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Do you think this is going to be a thing? I was speaking to
I don't
Brendan,
know.
the young astrophysicist, last night. I was talking about moon colonies and things. It's a really cool idea. I know you've got Musk wanting to go out to, like, Mars and beyond, but do we really, like, is this a realistic proposition? I mean,
Well, think
why?
about this.
Why, dude? Why? Okay.
Think about this. It says this here. It says Elon Musk's Space Exploration Technologies Corp and Peter Beck's Rocket Lab have really brought down the cost of launches. And the friends came to the realization that it might soon be possible to create a small lunar settlement for about $2 billion to $3 billion. So $3 billion to a group of people that possess probably, let's just conservatively say, $300 billion.
True.
What the hell is that?
True.
So is it then possible? I think it is. I really, truly do. And I think the best way to it is let them go. But the problem is like when they do that, right? What happens? I don't know. You know, do they like stake their flag and say, ha ha?
It's probably just going to be like some kind of new novel idea. It's going to get rid of like offshore banking and it'll be like off-world banking. And it'll be
Could you
like
imagine?
a lunar tax haven.
They turned it into like a casino.
They could, man. That'd be pretty cool. You could have like I can see that. I can see that being a thing, dude.
Like a free trade zone.
You better believe it would be free trade up there, right? Don't know what they're going to be trading, but who knows?
But think about, okay, so you do that, right? And then you use carbon nanotubes and you run a cable and then have your space elevator. What do you think? Is it possible?
Scott, I've seen talk of the space elevator back in the news again lately. I've seen a lot of news about that. Not a lot of news, that's a lie. Seen some headlines about the elevator. Do you think that's going to be a thing, Scotty?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
eventually.
Could you tow a cable? I mean, just theoretically, I wonder if you could even do it. Like tow a cable from the Earth to the moon and somehow anchor it.
You couldn't anchor it to the moon.
There's no way you can anchor it because the moon is rotating around the Earth. Yeah. So, I mean, eventually it would. But the space elevator thing, I think, is a viable option. I think once you get a certain distance from the ground into space, it sort of stabilizes itself. You know what I mean?
So what would you say, like have like a space station and then you just basically you use the elevators to basically elevate the cargo from the Earth up, and then you could effectively do it on the moon too. Yeah,
and then you would eliminate expensive rocket launches because you're just utilizing space elevator to transport this stuff to the top of the space elevator, right? Which would probably be like a kind of like a space station dock or something like that. And then you could transport stuff from the top of the elevator to the lunar surface, and vice versa. You could probably take resources from the lunar surface, dock it at the top of the space elevator, and bring it down to the surface of Earth. So I mean, it can go both ways. But what I would like to see happen, which I don't, just because of the fact that only I think the elites and the very rich will have access to it.
Yeah. It'll be like Elysium.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Well, going back to the whole thing of like, what do you do? Like who stakes their claim on the lunar surface? I would like to see kind of something like what happened back in the day when everyone just kind of moved out west. From across the plains, you just cut everybody loose and you
like
just
a new
let
frontier. Yeah, man.
Yeah, frontier. You're going into a new frontier, and you just let people kind of mark out their territory and stake out their claim on the lunar surface. I mean, that's kind of what I would like to see.
Scott. Imagine it, Freaky Friday live from Tranquility Crater. That'd be absolutely fantastic, man. Fantastic.
It'd be cool. I'd also like to see the same thing happen on Mars too. Just let people kind of stake out their claims there. If you have the resources, if you think you can do it, then hey, go for it. Give it a shot. If you think you could build a colony or basically a homestead.
Didn't they say you could grow like potatoes and moon soil? I think you can. Based on what if it's moon soil,
would it be moon potatoes?
Moon potatoes.
You ever seen the TV show Expanse, people? No. I think Expanse. It's got people living out in the belt, the asteroid belt. It's got Martians, literally like Mars has been colonized long enough for people. They're not humans anymore. You're born there. You're a Martian. It's like a really thriving economy and civilization that's spread throughout the solar system. I think we're maybe 50 years away from that. And if anyone's seen Expanse out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not too ambitious, considering the kind of things that our scientists are talking about right now. Maybe 50 years, 75 years, not too far away, not my lifetime, but I think we're getting close to that. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott? You think it's a thing? Or am I just going too sci-fi?
No, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I always think we underestimate where we're going to be in the future, right? So it's probably not beyond the realm of possibility. We tend to try to project the future based on what we're experiencing right now, right? Like our current life experience. And then we try to extrapolate from that and project it forward. But we never really take into account the things that will end up being invented and the things, the technological advancements that we can't even comprehend right now, that we don't even know will be on the horizon, that doesn't even exist in our thoughts, right? Or
Right, because
lexicon.
we can't even visualize it. There's no way.
It reminds me of a thing. I think I brought it up on Freaky Friday a long time ago, and it was these drawings that this kind of futurist guy made back in like 1903, I think it was, of what he thought, what they thought the future would look like in the year 2000, right? And it all involved like cities under the ocean and these technological machines that were like submarines and all of this stuff, and it was all basically like this ocean future, because
that's
at the
another thing to consider. Why go to the moon when we have all that area, that unexplored area or uninhabited area? Would it be easier to make an ocean habitat?
Isn't Peter Thiel?
But the point.
On you go, Scott.
Well, I was saying, the point I was getting at is that their vision of the future was based off the current scientific endeavors of the time and their current experience. Because what was really popular back in 1903, it was all ocean exploration and Jules Verne, and the scuba gear with the big brass, or what was it, metallic helmet, metal helmets. And all that stuff. And so that's what was in the public mind at the time. That's what everybody was envisioning. And if you think about it, they weren't even thinking about airplanes, because the airplane hadn't even been invented. So when they were thinking about the future, flying machines and stuff like that really wasn't, it wasn't in their mind. They couldn't even comprehend that.
Right. Yeah.
So it was all ocean exploration, deep sea civilizations being built and all that stuff. And so it was very interesting to see that. So I think when we try to project what we think is going to be in the future, it's almost the same thing, right? We're just taking what we're currently experiencing and then we're projecting it outward, but it's going to be something, I think, completely different. And that's what's crazy, is that we just can't,
because we can't even visualize it. It's just
visualize
advancing so rapidly and so fast, and we're on the cusp of such unbelievable advances in technology that it makes it hard to visualize. I mean, could you imagine like organic computing, Kev?
Oh, it's going to be a thing, though. Definitely going to be. And we've got somebody in the chat room at YouTube saying, Laird, his name is, India loses contact with lunar spacecraft bound for the moon, was live streamed earlier, looked fake for sure. See, Laird, I'm one of these dudes that doesn't like go into that like fake. I do think like these things, like when you're going to the moon and stuff like that nowadays, not to say that it's not faked, I'll need to check it out myself. But that's interesting if they lost contact with it. I know the Indian space program, they found a way of really cutting down the price, guys. Really cutting down the price. You look at the money that like NASA spend on things, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but India, they'd really cut down the cost of their missions, Joe. So you've got India, you've got China, you've got the European Space Agency, you've got Trump with his space. You've got Trump with Space Force.
Get on that rocket.
You've got Trump with Space Force. I mean, space really is. I mean, it's starting to become the prime kind of real estate right now, right? Everyone's desperate to make their claim.
Why now? And because here's the argument. And I heard, I watched Rogan interview Penn Jillette, and it was I love the conversation between those two. And this was the topic of conversation, believe it or not, was exactly what we're talking about now. It's a hot topic. And first of all, I am glad to be able to do it, Kev, in such high definition.
Joe, you know, I'm sitting here, right, and you're doing exactly the same as I done when I got this camera. You actually, it's not an ego thing that you're like seeing yourself and stuff, but you're almost amazed at how clear shit gets, right? You're like, whoa, looking good, man, looking good. But we're almost on the break, folks. We're almost on the first break. If you're on YouTube, don't panic. We won't be going anywhere. But for everyone at tfrlive.com, we're going to be back in 3 short minutes. We're going to be bringing up lots more woo. Would you live on the moon? If you got the chance to get that Willy Wonka's golden ticket to get the hell out of Dodge, would you go?
I wonder why. Why the rush?
Why not?
But I mean, like now everybody's like running like crazy. Is it? What do they know that we don't?
I think it's long overdue that we take our place off the planet and start, you know.
And then why not like 1974?
We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. There we go. Just like that. And the reason I've got to cut it off.
Right? We stop. And that was it. Nothing since then.
I know.
What?
I know.
It does. You know what I mean? Just, it's like, I don't get it.
I know.
I think part of it, I don't know. It's a tough question to answer, right? I mean, it's like, why, you know? But I do think a lot of it has to do with the fact that governments didn't really want to put money into it. And once you had corporations able to kind of, you know, private companies able to have the, you know, end up having the ability to do that. Like I said, I mean, this is the new space race, but it's not world superpowers engaging in it. It's corporations engaging in it. It's private entities.
Well, right, because now they this is the way they stake their claim. You know, now they can do it and actually like get an ownership stake. Think about that. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. It is, you know, and then you can also have governments partnering with private entities, right? Just like, you know, the government's partnering with SpaceX to, you know, they get government contracts and stuff like that. But when governments, especially like the U.S. government, can do those things, then, well, you know what? These private companies aren't subject to FOIA requests, right? They're not.
Right.
They're not subject to any kind of Freedom of Information Act or anything like that. So they can do things in secret. The government can contract them, and then it's kind of like plausible deniability. They can still get the things done that they want done in secrecy without having to have any of the oversight. You know, so I think maybe they just
like
decide.
Social media.
Yeah, it is. It is like that, you know.
Isn't it funny how seems to be the same blueprint?
Now, for everyone out there on YouTube, before we go back live, remember to click on live chat. Don't be on top chat. Go to live chat. And also remember to thumb it up or thumb it down. As long as you engage the algorithm likes that. So please hit share as well if you want people to find out about this stream. So we'll be back into it with TFR in a moment. But yeah, where are we going next? We're staying with space, guys? Are we going to stay with the final frontier? The next frontier? How do we call it?
Well,
yeah,
we can go wherever you want to go. I mean, I got some interesting woo from a mysterious universe we can pull up later.
Oh, nice. We always like interesting woo on Freaky Friday. Absolutely.
Yeah, you might take a little gander at that at that article.
Well, 2 secs, because I'm seeing that I'm getting sent a link. I take it it's going to be on Discord. I'll open up my Discord. There we go. I've got it open. Sorted. So any links that people want to get to me, I'm sure if Kristen in the chat room, she seems to be very, very, you know, on the ball. And we're obviously going to try and get a KBS Freaky Friday type kind of Discord thing going very soon. But I'm going to have to check the time here. We're going to go back live to TFR in just a moment. So like I kind of always jokingly say, shh, don't make a noise. We're going live in a minute. You know, Scott, you know I'm a bit of a dick that way, right? But what a stream we had earlier on today, folks. Man, oh man, what a streaming week it's been. We've had robot lap dancers with their CCTVs out, But here we go, folks. 3, 2, 1. Ready, Scott? Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? We are into the second part of Freaky Friday already. I don't know about you, Scotty boy, but even aside from time in general speeding up, it sure does feel like the shows nowadays are speeding up, right? It's like, boom, rapid, man. You just come in from one break and then boom, you're back out again on the other side. Boom, and our break. Wow, it's hectic, man. It really is.
It is. I mean, it just the more we do this, the more you do. The more you do these live streams and these simulcasts.
You know me, Scott. I don't really like live streaming. I don't really like doing it. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll do a live stream for 10 minutes, but I don't even know if I'll manage 10 minutes. Okay, I've got the live streaming bug. I get it. I'm addicted. Okay. I used to wonder how people could stream for like 5, 6, 7 hours. I'd be like, freaks. How do you manage to do that? Oh, let me assure people out there, when you're live streaming, oh my word, time just, it goes. Absolutely goes. By the end of the stream today, I had 2 hungry people sitting looking at me. I had Anne and I had Kevin sitting thinking, when are you going to finish the stream so we can get our dinner? So yeah, it's crazy, but of course, it goes even faster, right? Because we've got thousands of people around the world on so many different mediums listening and watching right now. And that is just, I mean, that in itself, think about that, right? Here I am in Scotland. We've got Joe there on the east coast of the US. We've got Scott in Kansas. And then today I was getting people to send in where they are around the world. We had Macedonia. We had Sweden. We had Norway. Yeah, really, dude. We had obviously a lot from America. We're getting more and more people from the UK, more from Scotland, which terrifies me. I never want to be known in Scotland. Lots of people from Wales as well. I like being anonymous, Scott. I like that thing. I don't ever want to...
At least where you live, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude. That doesn't interest me at all, I remember going to that Bilderberg thing years ago, and even then I had a tiny YouTube channel. Joe had just managed to rope me into going on to a really crap show at the time. I'm so glad that show fell flat in its face, but here I am now. But there was maybe like 10 people recognized me at that, Joe. That was 10 people too many in my book. Yeah. I don't like that kind of thing, man. I don't like that attention.
Me neither.
Man, we just do our thing. So, with that said, we're back. We're live. And don't forget, coming up right after today's show, we've got Brent Thomas with the Paranormal Portal. He will take the woo and dial up to, well, we're on about 10 or 11 so far. Brent's he's gonna break the dial. So where are we going next, gents? Who wants to take the lead here? There's so many links in the chat room. I don't know where to go next.
I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Joe's too busy looking at himself. Joe's looking at himself. He's busy admiring this new camera of his. Look.
So we did the moon.
How about the octopus?
Yes, that's kind of alien, huh?
It stays in space. Yeah,
it's very interesting. This independent thing. I was looking for alien woo, right? And this thing says, are octopuses aliens from outer space that were brought to Earth by meteors?
Whoa!
Oh,
nice. We like that. Yeah, definitely, dude.
So I don't have. This is very interesting. This is it says octopuses are aliens. That's the claim being made by a team of 33 researchers published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. And they're not referring to aliens in the metaphorical sense, but literal aliens from outer space. Since the paper was released on Sunday, a trickle of news coverage has turned into a torrent with increasingly alarming headlines about octopuses and their extraterrestrial origins. It won't come as some surprise to many to learn that they claim, and these claims have been roundly mocked by the scientific community, who have branded the paper, published in Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology, as ridiculous and unscientific. So what claims are being made? They're suggesting the Cambrian explosion, a sudden burst of life that occurred around 540 million years ago, was the result of extraterrestrial intervention. The paper asks whether this event, which saw the rapid emergence of most of the main animal groups that still exist on Earth today, was terrestrial or cosmic. Their conclusion is the latter. And how did the scientists suggest this would work? Specifically, the researchers proposed the idea that alien viruses crashed to Earth in a meteor, infected a population of primitive squid, and caused them to evolve into octopuses. Yes.
Octopudi.
Another theory suggests that fertilized squid or octopus eggs were delivered to Earth by a meteor. Because that's normally what's in a meteor.
Maybe that explains the goo on the backside of the moon that the Chinese discovered, right? Maybe it's octopus goo.
It was like octopus goo. Yeah, they're actually from the moon.
Oh, come here, octopudi, putty, putty.
It's funny, man. Okay, so let's see. The idea is essentially a reimaging of the panspermia hypothesis, which suggests that life on Earth was seeded by space dust or asteroids crashing into Earth. One of its first proponents, Chandra Wickramasinghe,
nice.
is wow, whew,
well dealt
one
with.
Of the authors of the new paper. So why do the researchers look at the octopus in particular? Because octopuses are weird. It says they're mollusks, meaning that they're closely related to snails, and yet they're incredibly intelligent. One of their on top of their large brains and sophisticated nervous systems, the authors of the newspaper list camera-like eyes, flexible bodies, an ability to camouflage themselves by changing color and shape as evidence of their extraterrestrial origins. So suddenly did these features appear in the octopus family tree that it is plausible then to suggest they seem to be borrowed from a far distant future in terms of terrestrial evolution, or more realistically from the cosmos at large, the author writes. And such an extraterrestrial origin as an explanation of emergence, of course, runs counter to the prevailing dominant paradigm. They continue, this is a strong contender for understatement of the century.
Well, I've got a comment here that ties in with this from the TFR chatters, and it's our good friend Bam. It says, news out of the Middle East near the beginning of the year. Scientists say that octopus didn't originate on this planet. Now, Scott was showing me how amazing these octopus are one night. You know, we were hanging out, we were talking about the octopus, and he was showing me how they're able to get through like the smallest of gaps and things. And not only that, though, they've got this amazing ability to remember things. And I remember doing a show with, I think it was young Brendan Drackler. We were talking about Europa, and he was talking about alien life, and he was talking about the oceans there. You know, and would we consider coming across octopuses or octopi or octopudi, whatever we want to call them, right, on Europa? Yeah. Would they be considered like alien life? Well, are they intelligent? They are intelligent. So
could you imagine, like, what if they are from Europa and they're just stranded in our oceans and we just can't communicate with them because they communicate via telepathy, right? And
what if a meteor hit Europa and
a bunch of octopus into space
and flung them into space, right? But think about it, right? Okay, so the surface of Europa is just a giant shell of ice, right? And then it's an ocean planet essentially, or an ocean moon.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is, if a meteor were to hit it,
like a big splash,
it would be a big splash. And say there were these alien eggs that were in the water, right?
Right, and as soon as instantly freeze, right?
Yeah, as soon as it was ejected into space, it would instantly freeze and preserve them. And then we're talking about possibly an ice meteor of some kind, or a meteor that is composed mostly of ice coming into Earth's atmosphere and not completely burning up, right? The outer edge of it, the outside of it would burn up. But maybe that inner core of ice survives plunges into the ocean, and next thing you know, these eggs or whatever are back in an environment where they can hatch. And
They just so happen to be in the same environment that they came from.
Well, get this as well, right? Because you know how I like to kind of relate the things we see in the TV shows to what we're talking about here, programming and all that. And I thought when I was watching this TV show, it was one of the most random but amazing things I'd ever seen. It was so out of place. It didn't even go along with what the show was really going on about in the episodes and the series before this. But has anyone out there watched the OA? It's one of the weirdest but most compelling TV shows in recent times. Unfortunately, it's been cancelled, yes. But in one of the episodes, we had this going on. And the main character was communicating telepathically, something called the Old Night, right? And this was a giant octopus was communicating via the main character. It was like telepathically speaking through her. And basically it was saying, we've decided it's time to communicate with you lot now. We've been biding our time and things. I know people hate when I relate TV shows to what we're talking about. Some people love it.
Oh, isn't that is so interesting.
But then we're talking, my good friend Geordie. Yeah, good friend Geordie Rose. I'll name drop it. Remember his freaky video where he was talking about the ancient ones, the old ones coming back? And H.P. Lovecraft? Cthulhu? I mean, Cthulhu, that's arguably like a big monster octopus, right? Right?
I'm very close to it.
Yeah, but you see creatures like that referred to, these octopuses, or whatever.
No, call it octopus.
Leviathan, I think is another name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're referred to, in myth and legend throughout history. And so, I mean, there's obviously something to it, right? I mean, you have the Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
And bring out the Kraken.
Yeah. So there's obviously this sort of deep-seated thing with involving the octopus or these creatures that resemble an octopus, as being like you said, Kev, like the old ones or something that has been here, like an otherworldly sort of being that might not have originated from this planet, right? So it's very interesting, and like I said, the intelligence of an octopus is crazy. It's a level of intelligence that like humans can't really comprehend because we're just it's it's something that is completely, well, dare I say, alien. It's almost an alien type of intelligence.
What if we're the odd ones out, Scott? We've got this kind of we're so arrogant that we think if we find life, it's going to be bipedal. It's going to be similar to us. It's going to be what if it turns out that the common kind of template is more like the octopus or something? What if that's the kind of more common form life takes?
The dolphin and the whale.
The dolphin, highly intelligent. Whales, highly intelligent, right?
Yeah. And the kind of intelligence that an octopus exhibits is like problem solving, like high level problem solving intelligence. Anything that an octopus can fit its beak through, because pretty much an octopus is completely malleable, right? It can squeeze into very, very, very tiny spaces, but anything that it can fit its beak through, it can go through, which is crazy.
Remember you were showing me that one, Scott? It was like crawling through a hole on a ship about yawn size. It was like a couple of inches, and it just squeezed itself slowly, kind of working its way through, man.
Yeah, it was a huge octopus too.
Massive.
It wasn't a small octopus. It was a huge octopus, and it managed to get through there. And you also see examples like from these water parks, right, or these aquariums that have a lot of sea life on display. They have a huge problem with their octopus, their octopi escaping and finding very, very, very interesting ways of escaping. There was one in an Australian water park. I forgot the name of the octopus, but he was able to squeeze out of a very, very tiny sliver of the tank that was left open. And then not only did he get out of the tank, he figured out that there was a drainage pipe, you know, in the floor of the you know, the facility there, and that drainage pipe eventually led to the ocean. And so they think that the octopus figured this out and then squeezed himself down the drainage pipe and then set himself free, got back to the ocean that way. So
How the heck do you like that?
Somebody in the chat room said Popeye had a fight with an octopus, and I automatically thought of our Popeye.
Sure.
I'm thinking of our like midget sailor out there on his Coast Guard ship, like fighting the the octopus.
Oh gosh, yes.
You know, I know Popeye, the cartoon character, that's so second place to the Popeye, right? You know, down the rabbit hole, down the octopusy hole. I don't know what he's up to, man. But yeah, cool. Octopuses could well be. Who knows, boys? Who knows?
yeah. You know, I'm open to that possibility. I'm totally
never heard that. Now, see, now I am going to watch some sort of octopus documentary when I'm done here.
Joe,
Because
it was Scott that educated me. I'm like that because we were talking about them. We'd brought up the OA one, and he says, "Kev, have you ever watched what octopus can do?" And I'm like, "Not really, mate. No." And we were there for about half an hour, Scott, weren't we? And I'm sitting there totally. My jaw was hitting the floor. I'm like, I had no idea how cool these things were.
And I have no idea. I can't wait now.
I'm you know, I'm one of those people. I'm absolutely fascinated with sea life, right, and just the way different animals, you know, operate and do things. And you know, the octopus has always been something that has fascinated me. And I've seen tons of videos of the things that they can do. And they also are like masters of basically like they have this level of intelligence to where they can like they make like their houses out of like coconut shells, or they'll carry objects in their arms almost like armor and stuff. It's weird, dude. It is crazy. And yeah, Joe, you're gonna have to watch some stuff on the octopus.
What about the memory thing, Scott? Don't they have like this tremendous ability to memorize things?
They pretty much have like a photographic memory. Once they learn something and that they've seen that they can do something or they have the ability to do something, that is instantaneously imprinted in their mind, and they will always remember that.
I like that guy in the chat room says dolphins taught octopuses everything that dolphins wanted them to know. I love dolphins. They've got to be one of my favorite kind of sea creatures. They truly do. Everyone loved Flipper when they were growing up, right? If you're old enough to remember Flipper. Come on. Everybody loved Flipper. Come on, man. It was cool.
I even got to experience and enjoy Flipper.
What's that?
You got to enjoy Flipper?
Yeah, dude. We got Flipper over here, man. Flipper was awesome.
Okay, so he was international. Or
yeah,
she.
Yeah. Like he, she. The Flippers, like, do they get like kind of het up over what gender you assign to them? I hope not. Don't tell me the dolphins are woke, man. No, not a woke dolphin. There's nothing worse than a woke dolphin. Come on.
Listen, the Japanese, first of all.
Don't talk to me about the Japanese. They've just started like whaling again.
No. There's a reason for that too. Listen, this goes back thousands and thousands of years and actually goes back to the Freemasons.
Oh, no, don't mention the Freemasons, dude. People think the Freemasons are to blame for everything.
One of the side duties of Freemasons is they have to execute all of the woke dolphins and whales out in the world because they really threaten humanity because they're pissed that what we've done to their planet. And so they have to do this, but they're kind of busy trying to salvage Freemasonry, so they've outsourced it to the Japanese.
Is that what it is, dude?
Yes, and that's why you see the annual dolphin kill. Those are all the woke dolphins. They go into that cove and they get massacred, and then same with the whaling.
How do you do this with such a straight face, dude? I'm sitting here wondering, is there like some grain of truth that this comes from?
I'm telling you, bro, it's a conspiracy.
Oh, everything's a conspiracy, right?
You understand, dude? That's right up there with blue chickens, don't you think?
No, don't mention them on the show. Please don't mention them on the show, man. I was having such a lovely night until that point. Next, we'll have people telling us that there's like off-world like communications with like blue octopi and octopuses and some kind of octopus defense force that's out there.
And showed me, she just, turned her computer around and showed me this rainbow octopus. And I hadn't seen, it's a very rare octopus. But dude, it's beautiful.
Is he a proud octopus?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Octopus pride?
Octopride, yeah. Octopride.
I thought I was going to have to spell that one out for you there, Joe. Come on, man. Come on. Hard crowd. Hard crowd. So you are.
LGBTQO.
Oh my God. The L's and the B's, the G's and the T's. For anyone who hasn't got Dave Chappelle yet, what are you waiting for? Please, please, please check that out. I imagine.
You getting paid by Dave Chappelle or something? What the hell?
No, I happily, freely promote Sticks and Stones. I was speaking to Nancy, good friend in Canada, the other day, and she kind of told me that her man, her husband's very much like us, likes a good laugh and things. And I was saying, Nancy, you have to tell your man to watch that show, right? So she shouts him into the room and she goes, her husband says, I watched that the other night. Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, folks, this is one of the funniest things that you will see in many, many, many's a year. It's just too good to be true. It's comedy gold. Will we ever see Chappelle on a screen again?
He's
but
super talented.
Very.
Yeah, no doubt.
There is a bit of I don't know if you've seen what's going round on the internet right now. There's somebody called Owen Benjamin. Have you heard of him, Joe?
Vaguely.
He's a comedian. Yeah. He likes a musician as well, but he's like a guy living out in the wilderness with a YouTube channel now, and he just hates on one religion in the world, the one that most people pick on. And he's convinced that Dave Chappelle actually stole his joke. And I have to say that he did do a joke about the L's, the G's. In fact, he done it the L's, the B's, the G's, and the T's. There is a certain thread of commonality. However, I don't think it was stolen by Chappelle because he took it to a new level, and it was totally. It's not the same joke. It's not the same joke.
Yeah, I don't think it was stolen.
Did you see that, Scott? You know what I'm talking about, yeah?
Yeah, and Rogan has actually talked about that too. Is that there's certain things to where comedians are going to come up with the same bit just because. I mean, it's just.
Well, remember that story that, and I don't know how true this is, right? But there's a story that when Prince or Michael Jackson, if they came up with like a song or like a tune in their head, what they would do is they would immediately, didn't matter what time of day it was, could be the middle of the night, but they would get their people to go and like trademark it right away because they knew that the other one at the same time, totally independently, would come up with something very, very similar. Now, that makes you wonder if all of this is out there in some quantum field and artists are able to tap into ideas that are about to come into our reality at a certain time. Is it a genuine original idea, or does this idea come from somewhere else and these two people are tapping into it?
That's a possibility, but I think if you're an artist like Michael Jackson and Prince, and you're making you're both like kind of big pop stars, and you're making music that's somewhat similar, not exactly the same, but they were both kind of in that same realm of music. I think that there's probably common beats and common sort of themes that they would be playing around with that. Maybe they would come up with something very similar to each other at some point. So, maybe they would do something like that. And like I said, it's the same with comedy, right? If there's something going on like in the world socially, right? Or whatever, there's something there. And you would just think, okay, well, there's something there to work with. There's an opening there. There's a glaring sort of joke that can be made about it. And so you would probably have a lot of comedians that would end up making the same kind of joke about that subject or about that person.
About in the chat room, they've managed to put the name on it, Scott. I'm not stupid. I don't know what you call it, but some call it the Akashic Records. Some call it the quantum field, the information field. You get scientists in one part of the world think they're coming up with some new idea, new theory, yet totally independently, without them even knowing each other, never met. They're writing the same paper at the same time.
There's definitely something to that, though, right?
It's weird, eh?
There is. I mean, because you've seen many instances of, American scientists working on something, but at the exact same time, Russian scientists are working on the exact same thing and have no idea that the American scientists are doing it, and vice versa, right? They just happen to be doing research and doing the same experiments and trying to figure the same things out. And it's, it's just, it's one of those things. And yeah, I mean, there probably is some Akashic record of some kind, whatever you want to call it, the ether or something. We talk about simulation theory, right?
We're almost on the break. We're almost on the break here, so I don't want you to launch into simulation theory yet. We can do a whole segment on that kind of thing. Absolutely. Man. But for everyone out there right now, you've listened to hour number 1. It is down. Number 2 and 3 on the way. So we're going to be going for a quick break, 3 short minutes. Go and get yourself a cup of tea, have a beer, roll yourself a fat one, hit the bong, do what you've got to do. We're going to be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere. There we go. And for obviously everyone on YouTube, we don't go anywhere. I'm going to go and fill my cup of coffee right enough. But before I do so, hit like, hit share. We've got an amazing Freaky Friday atmosphere building here already today. Joe Joseph in full HD, Scott Lopez with brain cells and neurons firing that myself and Joe can only yearn for, and me here multitasking the streaming and everything like that.
Very, very good indeed.
It's great, guys. You can decide where we're going next. I'm going to go
right,
and
get a cup of coffee. I got something we can discuss, Scotty, while he's gone.
Okay, well maybe we can talk about this Akashic record thing a little bit before we come back, or do you want to save it for the TFR audience?
No, let's do that. Yeah, let's do this while he's gone. Ready? Washington Post: the Loch Ness Monster is still a mystery, but scientists have some new evidence for a theory. I'm going to make a long story short so that we don't offend Kev, because you got to remember, he grew up on Loch Ness, so he's really, really tight with Nessie. It says more than 1,000 Loch Ness Monster encounters are recorded in an official sightings register. The report goes back to 565 AD, when an Irish saint is said to have saved a man from being attacked by a river monster. Now, rumors intensified in the 1930s when a road opened near a Scottish loch and when a reference to a Loch Ness Monster appeared in the Inverness Courier. One man swore he saw a 25-foot-long, 4-foot-high creature without limbs cross the road in front of him and his wife. Some monster sightings were debunked. A famous 1934 photo published in the Daily Mail turned out to be a hoax, staged by a model head attached to a toy submarine. But interest in the legend persisted, of course. And in fact, after Gemel's announcement landed, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said he yearns to believe in the Loch Ness Monster, according to PA Media, which reported Friday. The Prime Minister said he wanted the mystical creature to be real when he was a child, adding, "Part of me still does." Trying to explain the repeated reports of giant sea creatures, some theorized that the loch was home to a Jurassic-era reptile and pointed to a giant extinct animal called the plesiosaur. Others speculated about a huge fish, swimming circus elephants, or perhaps just floating branches. But Gemel and his colleagues figured something out. The remaining theory that we cannot refute based on the environmental DNA data obtained is that what people are seeing is a very large eel. That's right. Nessie is an eel. A eel big enough to account for the descriptions of a monster.
Womp, womp, womp. I don't think so. But hey.
It's an eel. A big one.
A big eel, huh?
That's right.
I don't know. I don't buy it.
Yeah. So I just wanted you to know that the heaviest eel ever recorded, by the way, clocked in at 5.38 kilograms or 12 pounds. So it doesn't sound like much of a monster to me. And if you think Nessie and you think, I'm thinking not any. Yeah, but I don't want Kev to hear shh.
That's okay. I didn't hear anything. All I heard was Nessie, and I'm thinking, oh no, what's my sister done now?
See.
I don't have a sister. In case anyone thinks I'm insulting a sister out there.
We didn't want to offend you.
Now I'm going to be wondering what you've been saying.
You know how tight you and Nessie are.
We are very tight, dude. Very tight. I'm watching the clock for TFR. You can make fun of me. That's okay. That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
We didn't make fun of you. No.
No, we
Just discussing what scientists have concluded Nessie is based on DNA data.
Hang on. We're going to bring it back. Here we go, folks. 3, 2.
So we're back. It's hour 2 of Freaky Friday on your protection from deception. TFRlive.com. Don't forget, you can join us over in the chat room. TFRlive.com/chat, and also over on YouTube at the Kev Baker Show YouTube channel. And I know we were talking about Akashic Records, but during the break over on YouTube, we brought up Nessie. And
did I get the idea that the DNA results are finally back, Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not going to like it.
It is what it is, dude.
No, you're not going to like it.
It is what it is. That doesn't mean I have to accept it.
Okay, well, according to scientists, after extensive study and DNA evidence.
Look how serious he's getting on me. I'm just struggling to take you seriously, dude.
They concluded that Nessie is an eel.
I'm open to something. We don't know what it is, so I mean, I'm like,
The
how do they know?
largest European eel ever recorded being caught was 5.38 kilograms or 12 pounds.
I've caught many's an eel in the canal that goes in to Loch Ness.
That's what, as a matter of fact, they interviewed a couple of youngsters there, and they all said, "You're crazy." Of course, everybody catches eels.
There's going to be eel DNA floating about in Loch Ness. How do they know that came from Nessie?
That's the people that are refuting this are basically saying, "Come on, dude. Of course, it's eel DNA. Come on." There's eels everywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You've got like the canal, like the famous canal, the Caledonian Canal, and it's at the mouth where I grew up, Fort Augustus. It's at the southeast, like bank of Loch Ness.
I told you we're close. I told you.
And then it like flows into Loch Ness. That's where the cruises go from. And obviously, growing up there, you'd throw a line in, fishing all the time. You would hope to get a pike, Joe, a nice, decent-sized pike, something like that. But often, you knew.
Like pike?
I don't like. I mean, we used to throw them back. I wouldn't eat a pike, man.
I'm
they're
not
rotten.
a pike.
Yeah, they're rotten, dirty, bottom-feeding things, man. But you used to know when you'd get an eel on the line because nothing fought harder than one of these eels. It didn't even have to be a particularly big one. But I tell you what, I can definitely see how they got eel DNA, but how they can say they actually got that and it proves it's from Nessie.
Yeah, how do they know it's Nessie? And second of all, all of the accounts speak of a big monster-like creature.
Yeah.
So if the biggest one ever caught is no bigger than 12 pounds, then how do you justify this?
I tell you what, though, imagine if there was like some kind of larger than average eel and it was just below the surface and it's swooshing about. Maybe some people have seen that and mistaken it for something that it's not, but I don't think that's the Nessie.
I doubt it.
Nah, and these DNA results, we've been waiting for maybe like 9 months for them now, and there was big fanfare. They said it was either a sturgeon, they would prove whether it or not it was a plesiosaur, there was some other thing. I don't think they ever said eel, but this is obviously the results coming in now. Yeah, well, I'm sure that it won't put the tourists off going to have their moment of fun looking for Nessie, so I don't think it kills the myth.
It says here, Jamel's not sure he will be involved in any further investigation to back up the eel hypothesis.
Because he won't be welcome.
He what he wanted with a project that captured the public imagination like no other study he published. Last year, he said the scientists' work at Loch Ness generated about 3,000 media stories within a few weeks before they had made a single finding.
Mm-hmm.
At first, Jamel said he was worried that an exhaustive investigation into Loch Ness was silly. But then he talked to his 9-year-old son, who told his friends, who thought the project sounded awesome. And seeing the children's fascination, Jamel realized that taking a serious scientific look at the famous loch could stir up interest in techniques to track biodiversity. So Jamel's team took advantage of environmental DNA, the genetic material that creatures leave in their surroundings. The eDNA lets scientists learn about habitats without disrupting them and harming the animals they're trying to study. The strategy will make a real difference, he says, in how they monitor and protect the world's increasingly fragile ecosystems. So he says Loch Ness attracts people in a way that few other things ever could. And he's absolutely right. But I have to disagree heavily that Nessie is an eel.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
I'm with you there. And I tell you what, it makes sense that they would come up with eel DNA if they were like looking for stuff in samples in the water. That makes sense to me, you know. But yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I don't think this proves or disproves anything, to be honest with you.
Talk about getting snaked. I wonder how much that guy got compensated for that stupid study. And then he comes up, it's an eel. Of course they're going to find.
I tell you what this does do. Me and Scott, we're almost like avid fans and supporters of Mysterious Universe, right? And I think it was Paul Seaburn, Scott, had written a few weeks ago, listen, all this fanfare for nearly a year now about the DNA of Nessie, what's the bets it isn't as exciting and doesn't prove anything like the scientists are claiming that it will do? Well, yet again, Mysterious Universe, full of woo, and also ahead of the curve. Love it. Absolutely love it. And anyone planning to go up to the Highlands of Scotland to look for Nessie, crack on. Crack on, because this just does not prove anything, folks. And you might be lucky enough to see something. It's one of those places where you could have, like, somebody on one bank of the loch, and then, bear in mind it's a mile wide, myself, Joe, and Scott could be on the other side. You could realistically see something, and myself, Scott, and Joe, although looking at the same area of water, we won't see anything. It's that kind of supernatural kind of beastie.
Okay. There was when I was over doing interdiction operations in the Persian Gulf, and it was shamal season, and when the shamals came through, man, it whipped up the sea like you wouldn't believe. And the sea snakes at that time of year are just unbelievable, and they're everywhere, man. You're out in the Persian Gulf. They're as far as the eye can see and just everywhere, squiggling around. Dude, they're huge. They're bigger than any eel I've ever seen, and I wouldn't even mistake that for Nessie or a sea monster. And I mean, I've speared a couple of those.
Somebody in the chat room, Jake Merlin, says the biggest eel recorded was a conger, and it was caught off Iceland, not far from Scotland. Yeah, I mean, it's out in the Atlantic. It's one of the next places you come to. 158 kilograms. That's a big eel.
Now that's a big eel.
That is a big eel. It is. You know, I still put the Loch Ness Monster under the category of the Scottish Kelpie. The Scottish Kelpie, it's a mythological, shape-shifting water creature. And that ties in with the reports that I know from growing up, because no two reports are the same. And you've got that one from my relative around the time of just after World War II, where they were cycling to go to their work, misty morning, and bear in mind the time period, bear in mind where they are. Quite, Free Presbyterian church. It's not the kind of place where you get people randomly making crap up. And back in the 50s, it's not like you're creating clickbait, right? And they said, each to a man, that there was this horse, a horse-like animal coming down off the side of the hill. And it was coming down to the road that they were on. And on the back of the horse, which makes this even more bizarre, Scott, was what the only thing they could compare it to was like a Native American with the big headdress on, riding on this horse, right? And it slowly walked across the road. And then if you picture the road sloping down, going into the loch, it walked off into the loch and just kept walking and slowly submerged and disappeared. And then you've got people reporting...
They say octopus can shapeshift.
Why not? And then you've got people that report the thing got the long neck, the humps. You've got my mum and my stepdad who say it was just like a flat back thing under the water, almost like a picture a whale creating a wake. There's so many different reports of what this thing looks like that it makes me think that the best thing to really describe it would be the Kelpie. And again, people will say, but that's a mythological creature. Well, so's the unicorn. So's a lot of things, but where do myths come from? Guys, are myths like made up? I think, and I think we've said this before.
They're always grounded in truth, man.
Exactly.
There's some sort of truth there. There's no doubt, if you ask me, that unicorns existed, that kelpies existed, all that stuff.
Fairies.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
Big
Even
time.
elves, dwarves.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Dwarf.
I said, the Lord of the Rings, man, was ever present. Neanderthals.
Well, somebody asked me that the other day. Do we think Lord of the Rings and the Inner Earth and things, was that almost like hiding things in plain sight? Was that?
I bet you in a way, sure.
I don't know.
I think so. I think Tolkien was tapping into something. He based that story off of something. Or
I often wonder if he didn't get that from somewhere, from all the Nazi exploration of Antarctica and other places where they say they went deep into the earth, or even H.G. Wells too. H.G. Wells was definitely in the know, if you will. He predicted a lot of things just spot on.
King Sweet in the chat's right. If they ever did find any evidence of something that was out of place, something that wasn't recorded, could we trust scientists to tell us anyway?
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
you wonder where it comes from. A lot of these things, and I often wonder too. Are these did they get it from some sort of secondhand, third-hand, maybe even first-hand knowledge of that kind of stuff, and then came up, like you said, with a storyline based on what they saw.
Or how about this? Let me go ahead and bring this back to the Akashic record thing.
Okay.
What if, we were talking about musicians and comedians, getting these ideas and just pulling these ideas out of places. And, you have certain people that, like, for example, like Kev said, Michael Jackson and Prince, worried that the other one was going to think of the exact same thing that they thought of, right? So when we talk about these writers, right, Tolkien and stuff, where are these stories and where are these ideas actually coming from? Maybe he's pulling this information out of the ether, out of the Akashic record. Maybe these are things that have happened and it's just coming to him as ideas, right? Ideas for writing a story. But maybe it's much deeper than that. Maybe this stuff did exist and he's just kind of putting it back out there for everyone. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There's, we talk about like genetic memory and things like that too. Some of these sci-fi writers that have written about, like you said, like we're talking about Jules Verne and, all of this fascination with space travel and stuff back in the day that was written in sci-fi novels and everything like that. Well, it ended up becoming a reality, right? I mean, we ended up going to space. We ended up, developing rockets and all of this technology that was once just proposed in sci-fi novels. Is it because these people are pulling information out of the Akashic record? They're receiving a download and they're writing about it, and then it ends up, that idea ends up being put out there, and it becomes this thing of we kind of manifest our own reality once we put that idea out there. So I don't know, just interesting things to think about, where a lot of this stuff originates from. And the myth and legend stuff, I think you're right. I think you're right, Joe. It is based in something that has happened
Yeah,
at some point.
something that happened at some point, and then just as the stories go on down through history, you end up losing some, or
It's like Chinese whispers. Bits get
yeah,
added on, you lose bits. Yeah,
sure,
big time.
of course, but certainly rooted in some sort of.
You've got lake monsters in the US, though, right? You got Champ, Lake
Yeah.
Champlain. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
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 No, there's all sorts of stuff. So there's no reason for me not to believe that some of this stuff isn't true. I think that that on the whole, Nessie would be more than just an eel. I kind of feel like it just doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not buying the whole eel explanation.
He's not one scientist I'm going to be striving to get on the show. But what about, right? I'm listening to the Mothman prophecies, thanks to Armand. He put me onto that on Audible. What if Nessie, the Mothman, Sasquatch, Slenderman, UFOs, demons, all the kind of things that make you go bump in the night and we talk about here on Freaky Friday, what if they're all the same thing? What if they're all the same energy, only we interpret them differently during different periods of time in history, and due to our geographical location, also that can change the way that we interpret them as well, but they're all one and the same.
Could be.
It's quite interesting. It was something that John Keel was talking about, and I don't know. You see, when sometimes kind of resonate with you, you're thinking that's quite a good point. Actually, I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't explain how that would happen. But
who can?
Yeah. I would imagine if I was driving along in a car, and something like paranormal was to happen, because of the way I think, I might interpret that as a UFO. But somebody beside me might be more devoutly Christian or religious, and they might see it as something either angelic or demonic. And we would both be looking at the same thing, only we would be interpreting it differently. It's kind of weird, right? Because your own kind of mind, your brain plays into this as well, how you interpret these things. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Certainly want to keep an open mind on.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, indeedy.
Indeedy. So
where to now, boys?
Well, we've been to Loch Ness. We've been to space. I think we need Scott with some mysterious universe. I think it's time. So. Yeah, I think it's time to dip our toe in there. I really do.
And I think this article ties in nicely with what we're talking about. And about just we're not being taught the true history, and things are a lot more things are mainstream science is stumbling across things that are throwing a monkey wrench into everything.
Pesky monkeys.
Yeah,
those pesky monkeys. So, we're not in Kansas anymore, Scott. Well, you are, but we're not.
No, but we're about to take a trip to Idaho,
There's Paul Seaburn, the guy I was quoting earlier. Cool dude, great writer, absolutely.
Great writer. So yeah, apparently Japanese artifacts have been found in Idaho, and they predate the earliest known humans in America.
Now, before you get into this, Scott, I can't remember who mentioned this on the stream yesterday, but one of our audience said, Kev, they've found some new stuff in Idaho. And the reason I know, Scott, that this is the same story, the same thing, it's that date. You're going to see 16,600 years ago. It's in this story. So that's how I know our audience are so on the same frequency as us. That's what makes this all the better. I love it. The way things come together, synchronicity. I hadn't told Scott about that, but yeah, he goes and finds this story. And we're filling in, we're backfilling. It's like almost the past is affecting the future, and the future affects the past, Scott. Quantum.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Maybe it has something to do with that whole Akashic record thing, but who knows? So it says here, this could change everything is an overused exclamation But the latest news out of Idaho, yes, Idaho, could change everything we've known and accepted about the identity of the first humans to settle in what is now North America. Stone tools and animal bone fragments found in Idaho have been radiocarbon dated to 16,600 years ago, more than 1,000 years before the Clovis people, who were thought to be the earliest settlers. Even more everything changing, the artifacts match those found not in Siberia, but in Japan.
Dude.
When I first saw that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It says when I first saw the lower archaeological layer contained radiocarbon ages older than 14,000 years, I was stunned but skeptical and needed to see those numbers repeated over and over just to be sure they're right. So we ran more radiocarbon dates, and the lower layer consistently dated between 14,000 and 16,000 years old. The discovery is described in detail in a paper published in the journal Science, co-authored by Oregon State University professor Lauren Davis and summarized in Sci News, with photos of the site and artifacts. Davis has been conducting excavations at an area known as Cooper's Ferry in Idaho for 10 years, a search that began with his PhD dissertation on the early indigenous people of the area. Cooper's Ferry is a bend in the Salmon River, known locally as the River of No Return.
Nice.
Ooh, yes, which is fed by the Snake River, the main tributary of the Columbia River, whose mouth is the Pacific Ocean. Where the mystery of the artifacts Davis found at Cooper's Ferry deepens. Our results just kept coming on and older and older and older. I just never thought that the site was going to be this old. In addition to the 189 stone artifacts, tools, projectile points, blades, etc., Davis and his teams found charcoal, a fire-cracked rock, and 86 large animal bone fragments. The age of the tools predate the Clovis culture, long thought to be the first human settlers of the America. Also, the points on the tools are different than Clovis tools. Davis recognized them. The oldest artifacts uncovered at Cooper's Ferry also are very similar in form to older artifacts found in northeastern Asia and particularly Japan. Japan, that takes us back upstream from the Salmon River to the Snake to the Columbia to the Pacific, where people from the northern Pacific islands might have arrived after a transoceanic trip by boat, not by an ice-free bridge from Siberia to Alaska. It is possible that these Pacific Asians followed these rivers to Cooper's Ferry and decided not to go further up the River of No Return.
I love the name of that river, dude.
That is pretty cool. It says the most parsimonious explanation we think is that people came down the Pacific coast and that they encountered the mouth of the Columbia River. They essentially found an off-ramp from this coastal migration and also found their first viable interior route to the areas that are south of the ice sheet. Need more proof? The tooth fragments found among the animal remains. Yeah, the tooth fragments found among the animal remains. Tooth fragments are from an extinct horse known to have lived in North America at the end of the last glacial period, which predates the ice-free bridge crossing time frame. So we're talking about what, pre-flood it's looking like?
Very much.
Yeah, this is very fascinating, Joe. You've missed some really fascinating stuff, but we'll fill you in here in a second.
Very good. Very good.
Says, however, and there's always a however.
Always.
Parsimonious does not mean unequivocal or definitive. John Hofecker, a fellow at the Institute of Arctic and Alpine Research.
So one of them there fellers at the research there.
Yes, one of them there fellows, Joe. A fellow at the Institute of Arctic and Alpine Research at the University of Colorado Boulder, who was not a part of a study. Oh, well, then that makes his...
That makes him, yeah, all more important.
Yeah, points out in Live Science that Native Americans have no genetic connection to people from northern Japan, an area whose spear points match those at
Thanks.
Cooper's
I
Ferry.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so everybody's aware, there's no genetic, tie between Japanese and Indians.
Now, where was this in? Whereabouts was this, Scott? Because somebody in the chat room was asking where in Idaho. Do we know?
Cooper's Ferry. I guess you'd have to look that up.
Cooper's Ferry. I got it there. Cooper's Ferry in Idaho.
Yeah, and then they have a little map down there. I think that'll kind of show the area. So this fellow from the University of Colorado Boulder, is trying to say, well, Native Americans have no genetic connection to people from northern Japan.
Yes.
But yet the spear points that they found match those to spear points that were found in Japan at that time, or from that same time period. So that's very interesting.
So the Cooper's Ferry Japan spearheads, they match. Maybe they had railgun technology pre-flood, and those were the projectiles.
Oh, I've got some really bad deja vu, and I knew the break was coming there. We'll be back in these. We are going to be back after these short messages. Don't go anywhere. Oh man, I haven't had deja vu in so long, and I tell you, right, that's it. Obviously, you break the deja vu when you click onto it, but I'm thinking, oh no, this is weird. When you said railgun and things, I'm thinking we've been here before. We probably have been here before, by the way.
Interesting.
Weird.
Some deja vu woo kicking in. We're talking about the Akashic records and all of this information.
Man, I don't know. That's cool, but it's weird. It knocks your equilibrium. It puts you off your kilter, man. I don't know it.
Yeah, it does.
So Joe, let me fill you in on what they found out here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, because you were away at the time. So essentially, they found stone tools, animal bone fragments, and all kinds of different things that dated back to 16,600 years. A time before the Clovis, the ones who were thought to originally cross the land bridge from Siberia, even arrived in North America. And then not only that, they dated the tools. When they looked at the tools, they matched tools that were being produced in Japan at the time, which suggests that these people were not crossing a land bridge. They were a seafaring people that may have went up the river. And this is
antediluvian. If it's antediluvian, then
it's looking pre-flood.
Well, if it's that, then you can't even consider that those land masses were even there. That could just be, honestly, I don't know. It could be washed. You just don't know. I mean, that's the problem. How did that get there? Who the hell knows?
What about the hieroglyphs and things in the Grand Canyon, boys? There's like evidence of people
in the caves, right? Aren't there caves and things like right?
What's that all about?
I don't know.
And then you've got like the what you call it now? You've got the hieroglyphs over in Australia as well. The Gosford glyphs, I think they call them.
Right.
And then you've got
glyphs, See now that's you're talking about these languages that just didn't exist present day, or
CJ, this is the interesting part that it said. It said the tooth fragments found among the animal remains are from an extinct horse known to have lived in North America at the end of the last glacial period, which predates the ice-free bridge crossing timeframe.
How do you like that? Well, because remember, there were no oceans. Pre-flood, there were no oceans. So
and those tooth fragments were found amongst the tools, and they even found charcoal and evidence of like all kinds of
so that's it. So think about that. No oceans, pre-flood, then flood comes along, and you have these fragments that kind of show up. But like I said, pre-flood, no oceans, so you could feasibly walk, because all they had were like basically lake bodies before that.
Right, okay, we're going to get ready to bring the network back, guys.
I bet you could migrate. Yeah, I bet you there were much more migratory type of things that happened.
I think things were very, very different then.
And
Obviously.
you had to travel with a dwarf.
Remember, folks. Well, I'm here if you need a dwarf. Remember, hit like, hit share. Let's try to get to 300 over here right now. Okay, we're at 240, and we're about to go live with TFR. 3, 2.
Yeah. Mr. Wookie, we're back. And it is the halfway point or past the halfway point, the 51%, if you will, here on TFRlive.com. Freaky Friday. And so we're talking about this mysterious universe piece. And, it's interesting because, we were saying during the break, pre-flood, there were no oceans. So, you could feasibly go on a quest around the planet. You could walk it technically, maybe, but what you run into, I don't know. You might run into like some pretty serious crap because pre-flood, there were some pretty big creatures around, So I don't know. All I can say is that it would make more sense to me that was antediluvian, because there would be a better chance of that intermingling, if you ask me, happening then than anything post flood.
Yeah, I just think this is more proof that civilizations at the time all around the world had contact with each other.
Oh man, but you know what else too though? It to me it lends a lot more credence to things like Göbekli Tepe and those sites, because to me those are very critical. They really throw a wrench into the modern writing of history.
Yeah, and this throws a big wrench into it. Now, I like how that fellow from the University of Colorado.
Yeah, I bet you he smokes a pipe and wears a bow tie too.
And how he just it just completely shattered his paradigm, and he just all he can say is, "Well, there's no genetic link between the native peoples and Japan," But okay, all right, that's fine. But how do you explain the tools? How do you explain? And I know you're not too big on the radiocarbon dating, Joe, but I think in this case the radiocarbon dating threw a monkey wrench in their thing, because they consistently got radiocarbon dated results back saying this is way, way older. This is super old. This predates those Clovis people, so even when they try to go to their radiocarbon dating thing, they have nothing. So the fellow from the University of Colorado, he was shut down. He was shut down pretty hard, and so this is just another example of them running into things that
the 1,000 Ninjas were a migratory group, even in the antediluvian age. And see that is an ancient brotherhood that has stood the test of time, survived floods and natural disasters.
No, I could take it a step. I could take it a step further, Joe. Ben Fulford is a time traveler.
No, he's immortal. He's immortal. He's doomed to walk the planet until the end of time.
He personally brought the ninjas over from Japan.
Yes, he's like a form of the Grim Reaper. It's almost akin. What was the when the Hobbit went and put the ring on? My precious, he put the ring on, and those wraiths were looking for him. The 1,000 Ninjas are like the wraiths. And Ben Fulford's like the Grim Reaper.
Dude, we've got so many new listeners that probably
to a life of being one of the 1,000 ninjas.
There's probably new people that are coming to this kind of information going, who's Ben Fulford? And now you've sent them down the white hat ninja road. Come on, man. Dude, this is what you done to me with the Red Dragons, right?
First of all, let me tell you something. See, I warned you about that. So don't you dare, because I was not going down that road. And no. You know what was my defining moment, honestly? And I don't even know if it's true or if there was validity to it, but when Griff and I went down the Leo Wanta road, It was like, wow, man, this is
Is
some
that the missing
serious
billions
stuff.
and things?
Serious stuff. And I mean, the guy was an ambassador and da da da. Well, I had him on the air, and let me tell you something, man. What a schmucko. I was just like, ugh. Even if this is true, you're a schmuck. Yuck. No bueno.
So
It ends
hard.
up, you know what it was? It ended up being a Gordon Duff deception. One of those
Veterans today.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was one that was for very many years. It was put out there, and boy, what a letdown. So after that, kind of anytime anybody came at me with this cockamamie outlandish story of these people that have done just, they end up being super people and all that, it never pans out. It never pans out. And that's why I always say, go into those situations very cautiously, because chances are it's fake. And in this, the Red Dragon of Taekwondo, that was great. That was the Red Dragon. He was some sort of Taekwondo martial art fella. And
Certainly was.
And it's all well and good, at least now how he kind of formed his story and where that came from. And you can start to see like that kind of stuff. But I mean, I got to tell you.
But Joe, come on, I'm going to embarrass myself here, but even I laugh when I think back to Mr. Ambassador. Imagine having somebody on your show and calling them Mr. Ambassador. Come on, dude.
God, you will never hear me say that unless it was Mr. Ambassador. Like, hey, I got an ambassador.
You know, Chris Geo still gets a laugh out of that one from time to time. Mr. Ambassador.
Mr. Ambassador. Yeah, I got your Mr. Ambassador.
I
right
was
here.
naive, folks, and I had Joe Joseph here, my hero at the time before I got to know him, and he's like, Kev, I've got just the show for you. Popeye's there, trying not to laugh, Like, we would do this show, Kev, but we think this would really help. You've got the biggest show on the network and things. It would be really better on your show, And I'm thinking, oh, man, the Red Dragon Society, they're like 10,000 years old, and there's ninjas coming out of cryogenics. This is cool. This is the kind of shit I want to be getting into, right? So I'm sitting there, I washed my ass. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be speaking to an ambassador for the Red Dragon Society. Mr. Ambassador, how are you doing, sir? And then, oh, my word. You see, if you can't laugh at yourself, right? Imagine Unirock had been on the go when I was doing the Red Ambassador. I would have been red pilled to pay the bill in a minute, man. I would have been gone. I'd have been like a series of shows on Kev Baker, the Master LARPer,
boy.
him and his Red Dragons. I can see the thumbnails now. It would have been absolutely horrendous, and rightly so. But I was naive. I learned the hard way. And look at Joe thinking back. Look at him. He's looking down and to the right. He's recalling that memory. He's thinking, oh, man, that was good times, right? Good times, eh? People out there thinking, what's this Red Dragon all about?
But you take a Ben Fulford, right? Ben Fulford comes from a legit background.
Yeah, Forbes.
Throws everybody for a loop with Ben Fulford, is that here you got a guy that's a former Forbes editor, and he's interviewed David Rockefeller personally. And how do you have such access and be such a wackadoodle? So there's some sort of something strange about that whole thing that I haven't quite wrapped my hands around.
Do you think maybe
we're Ultra thing?
Do you think we're maybe dismissing things even too quickly? Do you think there might be something to it? Joe, is that what you're saying to me?
All I'm saying is you don't get access to David Rockefeller for no reason.
I've still got a phone number for the Red Dragons. I don't know about the White Dragons, but if you want the Red Dragons, I can get them on the Freedom Link anytime, dude.
I told you, Red Dragons are so no. It's all about the ninjas, Kev. And I remember there was this one, I swear to you, Kev, I couldn't take it. I mean, it was the apex of the whole thing, because right around that time you were diving into Red Dragonry.
Red Dragon.
I too was like, oh, I've got to see more of this kind of stuff. And I ventured upon Ben Fulford again, and he was at this table with the King of Karate. And I was like, King of Karate? What? There's a King of Karate? And I looked it up. for real, there's a king of karate. And this guy ends up being that real king of karate, right? And so they're there, and he's like, and I was like, whoa, man, are you kidding me? It was the most entertaining.
Dude, I've got bad lungs at the best of time. Don't be saying things like that. I'm taking a mouthful of coffee, man.
Yes. So, like, he's known for basically the Asian underworld. He is, and all the triads.
Yeah.
He's deeply connected to them. But like, how? I don't understand it, because he, on the one hand, he's got, this is what's going on, and this is the and the drama, and this is what's going to happen, and it never happens, and you're just like, what the hell, Ben? And finally you just got to give up. You throw your hands up. You're like, come on, the ninjas are going to save the world again. Come on, they did it again. How come we never see these ninjas? I want to see the ninjas.
You see, it'll start to fall apart for me.
When are they going to start taking out the relevant people, Kev?
Exactly. When are they going to flood those tunnels with hurricanes and things like that? Maybe that was a move by these people. Maybe that was the ninjas that done it. But it'll start to fall apart for me. Well, for me, when there was rumors of what was it, 500 trillion that they were going to give to people all around the world. And yet the guy had a GoFundMe campaign going on. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, Mr. Ambassador. If you're like wanting people to donate to something, but you've got 500 trillion kicking about,
What I'm saying?
I think there's something going on here. It was like a really early forerunner for a Q LARP. One of these, it's what it is.
So, very much so. And where does it come from, right? It comes from people being so desperate for change. They'll cling to anything, any shred of hope they cling to, because they're so beat down and so paralyzed by all this crap that's going on that you don't know what to do. Yeah. And you have this flash of hope that comes out, and you just cling to it. You cling to it with every fiber of your being until finally you figure it out. Holy crap, it's all a deception. It's a lie. And back to reality you go. Crash. Oh, we are totally and completely powerless against that kind of hope and change.
It's still cool though. Still cool stories, and it gives me good memories. I've been there. That's how, man. Sometimes
now you're like old guard, so
a veteran of the truth wars, Joe. Telling you, man. But we've got more kind of ancient woo, and I like these ones, the Denisovans. What have you found here, Scotty boy? And after that, we've got even more woo from ancient times and things that we can get into after that. So take us away, Scotty.
Yeah, very interesting, because right as I had come across that Mysterious Universe article talking about all of the ancient archaeological finds up there in Idaho, right underneath it in my little list of articles that have Freaky Friday possibilities on it was this article from Fox News, actually. And it says that an ancient Denisovan finger bone seen as surprisingly human-like, scientists say. And it says a Denisovan finger fossil holds a surprising feature that sheds light on the development of our ancient ancestors. Paleogeneticist E. Andrew Bennett of Paris Diderot University and colleagues claim that they have identified the rest of a finger bone, which came from the hand of a teenage female Denisovan that was discovered a decade ago. The Denisovans are an extinct species or subspecies of archaic humans that roamed in areas that include modern-day Russia and China. According to researchers, the finger is actually closer in shape to those of modern humans than those of Neanderthals, which is surprising given that Denisovans and Neanderthals are closely related. After a Russian scientist discovered the finger in 2008 in Denisova Cave, they cut the specimen in two and sent the pieces to separate DNA research companies. Researchers say that in comparisons with Neanderthal and Homo sapiens species, the dimensions of the fossil finger fell within the range of measures for ancient and modern humans, not Neanderthals. And the study was published in the Journal of Science Advances. So it's very interesting. They weren't, it looks like they were a lot closer to the way we are now than the Neanderthals and sort of this caveman sort of image that was, kind of conjured about them or whatever. So more evidence of possibly humanoid beings that probably more were like us than what we originally thought, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, well, you've got all sorts of different evidence to support that kind of hypothesis, especially like L.A. Marzulli and his work with the elongated skulls down in South America. That's clearly not human DNA, but they existed. So what are they? There's some sort of,
I find interesting about them. I always remember laughing when I found this out. Really cool name, right? The Denisovans. And you think to yourself, well, how did they actually get that name? It's really not quite as exciting as you think. It was just discovered. That cave was discovered by a monk called Denis.
I knew it. I knew it had to do something.
That is exact. That's why they're called Denisovans. It was a monk called Denis that found the first remains of them.
If they find like a Denisovan that has like not been, if they find like a patch of Denisovans that have actually survived and that they didn't think were, that actually aren't extinct, I would be pissed if I was a Denisovan. I'm like, really? You named my entire people after a guy named Dennis. Come on.
But Come why on. Why? Yeah, I mean, then by rights, then my clan here is Johemian, and that's just the way it is.
You know what I'm gonna do? The next time I'm playing No Man's Sky, I'm gonna name one of the species I find the Josevians, and I'm gonna name some the Scotivians and the Kevisians, right? And then anyone who comes across that planet in the future when they're playing the game, they'll be like, I wonder how they got that name. And it's far more interesting than a monk called Dennis. It was just like some stone dude in Scotland playing the game thought he's going to name them after his mates. It's pretty cool, right?
It's going to be hilarious. Yeah, they're going to come across the planet and they're going to be like...
I think I might do that in a live stream one day. We could like hang out and we'll like go to different planets and everyone in the chat room will just go through their names and we'll start naming species after them. And honestly, folks, this game, that means that name sticks on that planet to that species of animals. So I think we'll do that one day. But
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, we're not ending there with this kind of ancient woo, because I think this next story could be so huge and it truly is significant for many reasons. And we often have a laugh and a joke about the times of Noah, the times of Joah, things like that, right? But David and Goliath, Joe?
Totally true. Totally true.
And now we might have the evidence.
And certainly not the way that we're told, right? So the common misconception in the David and Goliath story is that David was a boy. And by the time David and Goliath occurred, David was not a boy. David was a manservant of King Saul and a trusted one at that. And when Goliath came to challenge Saul, David wanted to fight in his stead because Saul was afraid. He was basically a coward, and so Saul gave David his armor. Now Saul was no small dude. King Saul was huge, so, and David donned his armor. He wore it. David was about the size of King Saul to be able to wear his armor. And so, he went out there and slung that damn stone. And you're talking about, basically a low velocity freaking sniper rifle with that kind of accuracy and that kind of speed, man. Of course he's going to put a freaking hole in the guy's head. It's a projectile. But what this is reporting here, Daily Star, biblical bombshell as archaeologists discover origins of the David and Goliath battle. This is a monumental discovery in the Holy Land may hold the key to the biblical mystery of David and Goliath. David, an Israelite, it says, defeated Goliath, a Philistine giant, in single combat in one of the most famous episodes of the Bible. With little evidence to support the legends, its origin has proved mysterious. Yet now a new discovery could shed light on the tale. Archaeologists excavating Goliath's hometown of Gath have unearthed a new layer of ruins dating back to the time of the biblical battle, and they are unusually large.
Before you go, that's pretty awesome because I remember, what was it, a couple Freaky Fridays ago?
Yeah.
I'm the one that brought forth the story of them finding Goliath's hometown. So now it looks like they're starting to uncover a lot more evidence as they dig into this. So I mean, this is so cool. This is so cool that they were able to actually find evidence of all of this. So anyways, yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so excavation director Aaron Mayer of Bar Ilan University in Israel said the discovery came as quite a surprise after 23 years. He said, "We know now the size and impressive nature of the early Iron Age city is quite different than we previously thought. It was assumed that the city reached its largest size during the 10th and 9th century BC, but it now appears that the early Iron Age city to 11th century BC and perhaps before may have even been bigger and more impressive." And so he adds that perhaps the legends of giants among the Philistines, and in particular from Gath, Goliath, and others, might have arisen, among other reasons, from seeing impressive monumental remains of cities in the centuries after its destruction. I will wager to say that no, it happened because there were giants, and that these things happened. And now you have actual evidence of that happening. And the building blocks themselves, it says, are bigger. The newly found fortifications are 4 meters, 13 feet wide, whereas walls from later periods are up to 2.5 or 8 feet wide, 2.5 meters, 8 feet wide. The building blocks themselves are also bigger, measuring up to 6.5 feet in the Goliath layer and 1.6 feet in later layers. So much smaller bricks. And again, you see it with a lot of the megalithic structures. And when you start talking antediluvian age, you're starting to talk about giants on the scale. The Bible puts it, the book of Enoch puts it up to 500 feet tall. 500 feet tall giants. And even afterwards, the survivors, you had Jacob go into the land of Canaan and come back. His lookouts come back with grapes, and each grape is the size of a man's head, and he's got bunches of these grapes because that's the kind of stuff, these genetically engineered fruits and things like that these giants subsisted on.
Can you imagine that? A grape the size of a watermelon?
I'm just trying to actually picture it, Scott. It's hard to compute, right? It really, really is, man. This is where you get into the stuff like the giant of Kandahar and things like that. Anytime we talk about this, I think of the big ginger giant of Kandahar, Eli Marzulli.
So here's an interesting thing. Do you think that there could be some think of the tale of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Okay.
And he had a giant, he had a giant beanstalk and just all of that. I mean, that story.
Yes. I think that there's truth to it. And I'll tell you why. Because pre-flood, the atmospherics were different. The pressure, was different. Oxygen content was different. Things lived a lot longer. Plants grew a lot larger. And interestingly enough, there was at least one layer around the Earth. There was an ice canopy around the Earth that shielded us from even more cosmic rays and protected us from more things that allowed us to live. Methuselah lived for almost 1,000 years. So these things, I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've experienced, and I can tell you that I have taken it from an extreme skeptical and bullheaded, thick-headed standpoint. So it kind of it took a lot for me to get here.
Gary in the YouTube chat was like, "Why are the giants in the air?" Right, and
that there could be levels. You
Well,
know what
what
I mean?
about-
If
what
there's an
about-
ice canopy and things like that, why not?
What about
You
if it's just like some kind of analogy or
like a
metaphor?
technology.
I always get this wrong, right? But what if it's almost like the Tower of Babel? You know, reaching into the
or
heavens.
something like that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard for me to visualize. But
And I'm sure stuff was added to the story. You know, I mean,
course,
we're
Scott.
talking about legends, and you know, where I'm not saying the entire Jack
Yeah.
and the Beanstalk thing is literally, you know, word for word. You know, everything about it is. But what I'm saying is, you know, there's like some truthful basis in it somewhere, right? And it's just another example of giants being brought up in these stories. You know, so it just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder.
Look at Joe. Look at Joe. He's reaching for sweeties. Look, he's wanting food. Oh no, he's getting too hot. I thought he was looking for
air
food.
conditioner, yeah, man, too hot.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys in America. You need air conditioning. Not so much over here. Not so hot Scotland. It's like winter over here in Scotland now. It truly is. I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit there, but it's wild, guys. It's turned like that. We've had this really hot summer, and Kazzy in the chat room says got a meeting tomorrow in Perth with the founder of the West of Scotland UFO group. Wants to meet up at our Yes rally, a day of madness looming. Good stuff, Kazzy. And yep, I thought it was. I actually thought that was more giant related there. That's why I went to. But we'll be back on the other side, folks. 1 hour to go. Right here on your Freaky Friday on Truth Frequency Radio, www.tfrlive.com. We're out of here. We'll be back after these short messages. There we go, boys and girls. There we go. We're here. We're live. We're still here. Looking good.
Yes. ZX in the chat. Ancient Indian gods flew in Vimanas. Anunnaki flew in beam ships. Giants were a byproduct of the Nephilim. So, I mean, we want to talk about, you know, maybe some of the imagery of, you know, the giant being in the sky with Jack and the Beanstalk. Maybe we're talking about a giant that had came from above, right? That may have been.
You look at you look at like the Babylonian kind of sculptures and things, Scott. They had like half men, half animals, and all these giant kind of things kicking about. It was a weird time. It's like Joe used to say to me. He said, "Kev, forget about the way you think of ancient times the way you do now. Think of it like the Lord of the Rings." And that's what really kind of made me sit and think. And it probably was. If we were to go back there now, it would be like some kind of magical, mysterious, kind of mystical time, right?
Yeah.
Totally alien from what we know now.
But also a time where you actually had different types of ways to channel energy, different ways to construct things. If you notice, everything was stone, but I'm sure, you know, it's all ruined now, but I'll bet you when you know, think about it, what did the Great Pyramid look like when it was at its peak, you know, like
with the marble finish and stuff?
Oh man, and it said it looks like a diamond
and the gold capstone on it.
Right. I mean, could you imagine?
No, I
like,
can't.
What did that really look like when that was built?
And
it had to be
and also, Joe,
majestic.
and also, I don't think it was just those pyramids, the little buildings, and the Sphinx. I think it was like an entire complex across that plateau.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll bet you that there was probably much more to that plateau.
Yeah.
Maybe
here's something.
You know,
here's something mind blowing. What if the pyramid, like the Great Pyramid, what if that's just the top of an obelisk? Could you imagine?
Whoa, dude.
It just goes down 1.5 miles.
Yeah, it's all right, you know.
Imagine that. Just that would be mind blowing, wouldn't it? If they just started digging down, they're like, holy crap. Whoa, it just keeps going and it just keeps going.
Oh,
you know?
somebody in the chat room says they're terrified of giants. And I don't know. Oh, my word, no. It's all right. It's Brassneck. He cracks jokes all the time. He's got fee-fi phobia.
Yeah, and so, but if you look at the Great Pyramid, right? It's built.
Oh my God!
It's built on a shock-mounted foundation, like a ball and socket type of foundation that we couldn't replicate today if we wanted to. But you know, these megalithic structures just tell me, number one, we had ways to construct these or put these materials together in such a way where you almost mold them in place, or You use giants because they were there. You know, you use giants. Maybe giant people built giant things, all these megalithic structures and everything else. You know,
Come on, folks.
And-
We need like 1 or 2 more members so we can unlock the shoe. We need the shoe. I even showed people the very shoe that I'm going to do the emoji on. We need that shoe. So consider joining the channel. Consider a PayPal. Consider a super chat. But we want the shoe, right? We need the shoe for the weekend stream, guys. It's a must, right?
yeah,
It's a must. But we better check the time
then,
here.
You know, we've got pyramids all over the world, dude.
Right, we can get into the pyramids when we come back because we like pyramids, okay? I'm just looking at the time here. Here we go. We're going to bring back the network. Scotty, get ready. I'm going to add it now. Watch for it going live. Here we go, guys.
Our number
three.
1, 2, 3.
Boy, the woo factor has been just off the charts tonight, hasn't it? I mean, just
The chat over in TFR Wookiee Cave, it's off the charts as well. And in the YouTube chat room, it's off the charts. Everything is off the charts tonight.
Off the charts.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good off the chart night. This simulcasting thing's really, I like it, Kev. To be quite honest with you.
Well, I'm hopefully next week or in days to come, we're not just going to be on YouTube. We're going to hit Periscope. We're going to hit maybe D Live. We'll be on Mixer. And we're going to go out to as many platforms as we can because I am determined, by hook or by crook, we're going to take this to even a larger audience. I'm lining up some absolutely...
Wait a minute. Are you going to an algorithm? You must have an AI assistant that can manage all of these feeds at once.
It's because I'm in a smart city. I'm blessed with a 350 megabit broadband connection.
I had a feeling that was the case.
Plus, I got that beast of a computer. They call it the Omen, the HP Omen. I know people will be going, oh my God, the Omen. And its serial number is 00666, that kind of thing going on. So I might as well. It does have 3 6s in the serial number, by the way, Joe, which freaked me out when I seen it.
We're done.
We are done. But yeah, I mean, obviously the home of the Kev Baker Show on Freaky Friday will always be Truth Frequency Radio. I just want to get us out there as far and as wide as we can, folks. Some people like to watch. Some people like to listen. You know, we just want to get this out there because I think so many people like us three here, there's a thirst for this information. And we can't promise we're going to give you any answers. We're just here to discuss the kind of things that you must be looking at yourselves, right? And whether it takes us any closer to that knowledge that we're all hoping to attain one day, I would like to think so. But even if not, I mean, I can't think of anything better to be doing than hanging out with guys like yous, all the people in the chat room. We're all like-minded people. It's like I was saying earlier on today. You'd be wrong in thinking, once you look at social media, there's so many assholes out there. And the world is so dark. But when you actually think about it, that's only because they're given a louder voice. And I keep saying this. There's more and more people like us in the world. And I think it's good to come together, drop all the nonsense at the door, have 3 hours chilling out, chewing over the woo. And by the end of it, I do hope we're all a little bit wiser and smarter for the sake of it. And during the break...
We definitely want people, you know, we want to get the mental juices flowing and we want people to, you know, think outside the box, you know. We're not here to tell you what to think or how to think. We just want you to think. You know, so
what by Cracky, what have you found? This
man, does Kev look at this, Kev?
Kev,
you want me to go here?
Charts, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it up. Oh my word.
My, this is a grade A numero uno, like Angus style woo here. Oh man. This is like that, what do they call that? Kobe beef type of thing, that $300 an ounce type of beef.
You know me, guys. You know me.
You did it.
It's Freaky Friday, and it can't be a Freaky Friday without the woo level being jacked to.
Look at that picture, right? Many people are going to think that's the Millennial Falcon, right? But it's not. It's the Baltic Sea anomaly. before it crashed. It is, right? It looks like the Baltic Sea anomaly when it was flying about, guys. Honestly.
Okay.
Is this the Asgardians? Are the Asgardians going to protect us from the asteroids and things? Scott, what's going on, dude?
We're about to find out, because the headline of this, it just, you can't just something like that come across my feed and me not bring this to the table, because so once again, back to Mysterious Universe, once again, just knocking it out of the park. And this is from Paul Severn. It says, heads of Space Kingdom warn of asteroid collision and a Cold War with the Space Force. It marks an escalation of global superpowers moving to increase their influence on space as space exploration and colonization edges closer to reality. While global powers on Earth may view this as a necessary step in battle for supremacy in space, for those that see space as an opportunity to live away from the damaging influence of geopolitics, this is hugely concerning. If you're going to call yourself the world's first and only space nation, you'd better be prepared to get down and dirty with those who infringe on your territory or fail to join in and defend the planet against space disasters. Twice in a week, the leaders of the Space Kingdom of Asgardia have stepped up to the pad and launched rockets of rhetoric against President Trump's Space Force announcement, and its fear that no other nations share. Its concern that the probability of Earth being hit by a doomsday asteroid is 100%. All hail Asgardia.
Ah, yes, the Asgardians. We should have had the actual national anthem kind of tuned up there, ready to go, man. Do, 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 do. They do have a national anthem before people think I'm making that up.
No, but maybe their little micro satellite that they put up there with like their little hard drive. I think it was like as big as a thumb drive.
You know what's weird though? They've got like an ex-British politician, Joe, called Opus Limbic or Limbic. I can't remember his name, right? But he's a weirdo. He goes out with one of the cheeky girls, or he did go out with a cheeky girl, a really weird-looking dude. But he's like one of their ambassadors. Me and my ambassadors, eh?
Not one of them. Not one of them.
Maybe I could get my second ambassador on the show.
Oh my, Mr. Ambassador.
I need a bona fide one.
Come on, Kev.
How do you define bona fide?
Like genuine. Like got the credentials. You know what I mean?
Do you want to dip your toe back in the ambassador pool?
If it was the Asgardian ambassador, you better bloody believe it, dude. I'd be there in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah, but the problem is it's like a little CubeSat, dude.
It's okay. One day it's a CubeSat. Tomorrow it's a spaceship. The next day it's like universal conquest. That's the plan.
That's the problem. It's just, okay, now if Asgardia had like, I fail to see how that is going to pan out, because you don't have the wealth behind Asgardia that you do like this whole moon colony. I think you're going to see the moon colony before you see Asgardia.
I got the guy's name totally back to front. I was dyslexic with it. His name's Lembit Opic. That's the guy.
Wait a minute. Does it matter?
No, not when you're the well, what's his I'm trying to find what his actual official title is. You carry on, Scott. I'll get this guy's title, okay? It's cool.
Okay, so continuing on here. It says, Space Command will ensure that America's dominance in space is never questioned and never threatened. Immediately after President Trump said this at his announcement that the Space Command or Space Force was open for business, the leaders of Asgardia issued a strong statement condemning the move, comparing it to the Cold War. Asgardia launched its Asgardia 1 satellite in 2017 and declared sovereignty over the space occupied by and contained within Asgardia 1, which it believes makes it the only nation to have all of its territory in space.
Yes.
Lena DeWin, Minister of Communications for Asgardia, expressed the space nation's territorial concerns to the National. The expansionist rhetoric of Trump is a continuation of this worrying trend of world powers seeking to look after their own self-interest by laying claim to space whilst showing no regard for their fellow human beings. One of the key missions of Asgardia is to provide a home and space for humans to safeguard the human race in a peaceful environment, far away from the weapons on Earth that we have the potential to destroy, or that have the potential to destroy our species. This announcement from President Trump undermines all notions of space being a peaceful environment. Instead, it transitions the battleground of the global superpowers from Earth to space.
How is that? Wait a minute, just for a second, because I'm up here now, and okay, so I'm not up there, but
You're
I
down
have
there.
to say that Asgardians are not either, right? So okay, so Asgardia 1's up there, their little CubeSat, and they're saying, "Oh, yeah, that's our flag, and everything around it is ours." Yeah, but see, that's the problem. That's where it stops. Is that they go, "Boo-hoo, that's ours," but that's it. So, is this battle truly going to be fought in space, or are the Asgardians going to rise up here on Earth? That's my question. Is that are they? Because I see this Lembit Opik guy. He doesn't look much like a warrior.
Well,
Not see-
he definitely isn't a warrior, dude. Here he is here for anyone out there. That's the dude.
Yeah, no, not seeing somebody that's going to take over and be, beat. Nanny.
He definitely does not have an Asgardian look to him. Let's just put it that way.
No, a Nilbat would be very unkind to him.
I'm sure he's actually he's the chairperson of their parliament, from what I can make out.
Well, speaking of him, let's continue on here because he's about to be referenced in this article.
Nice.
Okay, so it says, "Does that sound like the gauntlet being thrown down?"
How does Lembit Opik throw down a gauntlet?
How did he pick up a gauntlet?
About that.
I mean,
It says, a few days later, Lembit Opik, the chairman of Parliament for Asgardia, challenged Space Command, the U.S. and all Earth nations, to help Asgardia in its primary mission to protect the planet from catastrophic asteroids. He said, "It's a matter of life and death. The chance of an impact is 100%. You just don't know when. This happens very rarely, but when it happens, it's catastrophic and will wipe out between 70 and 95% of all life. That's what seems to have happened before." Opik is a former British politician who tried to raise that government's awareness levels of an asteroid apocalypse before joining Asgardia as the decision maker in such matter. Yes,
Scotty, has Lembit Opik has he happened to read the Georgia Guidestones? Had he referenced that? He would say, "Wow, look at this is a very easy way to get there. We'll just let an asteroid hit the planet.
Myself and Scott.
About everybody down to about 500 million.
Man.
We get what we want. That's it."
Myself and Scott, synchronistically enough, had an off-air conversation about the Georgia Guidestones the other night. Probably a conversation that would be best left off air. But yeah, it came into our conversation. That 500 million number. Yeah. Well, let's let Scott continue, because I really shouldn't share what we were saying, Scott, right?
No, it was definitely a let's just say it was a controversial discussion that me and Kev had about the Georgia Guidestones, but
absolutely. Somebody in the chat room urinated on the Georgia Guidestones at one point. Like it.
Oh, that's always nice.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Says Opik is a former British politician who tried to raise that government's awareness levels to it. Okay, I went through that. While NASA, the ESA, and other national space organizations, other nations, and even Brian May, Queen guitarist and co-founder of the annual Asteroid Day Awareness Program. I was not aware that there was an annual Asteroid Day Awareness Program, but wow, okay. Are developing ways to protect the planet from asteroids. That's apparently not enough for the leaders of Asgardia. Is the Space Command afraid of Asgardia? Not likely. Will the Space Force go to war, cold or otherwise, with Asgardia? Perhaps a cyber war would be more appropriate, since Asgardia believes its sovereignty comes from having all of its data stored on a satellite in space. Will anyone change their asteroid plans? Just because of pressure or threats from Asgardia? Are you serious? Will any will any of this stop Asgardia? Of course not. Should we be concerned that they have some secret plans to
No.
combat the Space Command and
No.
asteroids, or make some huge, huge and historic display to call attention to their concerns? That's worth thinking about.
We're gonna write a sternly worded letter to you, and then we're gonna store it on our thumb drive in space.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's worth thinking about. After all, they may be a space nation, but they're still humans fearful about their future.
Do you think?
Oh,
do
yeah,
you think?
no.
Do you think
Yeah.
Lembit's going to be leading the charge? Do you think he's going to be like I don't know, like Captain Kirk or something on their first spaceship? Is he
No.
going to be energized? Is he going out there, dude?
You know, though, I mean, when I hear the word Asgard, Asgardia, I literally think of like Thor, and I think of like badass Asgardians doing battle on Valkyries and stuff like that.
See, that's the thing that you see
These
this.
these Asgardians, no, that not so much battle hardened badasses.
Joe's losing the will to live here.
I'm gonna write you a sternly worded letter, by cracky. You can't do that.
You do know that they
Now-
were having like mayoral kind of like they were having elections, Scott, like for people to become mayors of Asgardia. There's one in Glasgow. I was planning on running against the cat just for a giggle, but why? This is I don't get this whole Asgardia thing. Is it just me, Joe? Scott, I just don't get it.
I mean, I get it if you could plunk a space station up there and live up there like you say you want to, but if you can't, don't front. That's all I'm saying. You're fronting, yo. Don't
Is it like a LARP of like cosmic proportions? Do you have to pay to get into Asgardia?
That's exactly what it is. I could see like that Elysium movie threw me for a loop, and I swear that's kind of what I see. The Jeff Bezoses of the world kind of striving for is that, okay, yeah, we do want to live somewhere off planet. We do see something coming. It's not good. And we have the resources to get there. We just don't know if we can survive once we get there, but we're going to try like hell. I get that. That's like legit. This Asgard thing, dude, what is that? It's like a Star Trek convention that pooled their money together to throw a thumb drive up into space. That's what they did,
Elon Musk, one of the rockets, just dropped off a thumb drive in orbit. There you go.
It is. It's just a nerd dream. That's
So,
all.
okay, yeah, I mean, but okay, let's, we can joke about it and all that stuff, and it is funny, right? It is. However, that being said, they are asking some, they are bringing up some pretty interesting, like, ethical questions, right, about space. And I think that's maybe more of their main focus, right?
I Joe's face. Look at him. Look at Joe's face.
This whole Asgardia thing is just kind of a big PR stunt. A big PR.
I guess if people were paying attention to it, but nobody's paying attention to it.
Somebody in the chat room says Asgardia is fake, and no, this is really real. They've got like.
No, I mean it's no bullshit. They threw a thumb drive in space.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. Oh yeah, we put all our data up there. Who gives a flying shit? Nobody's paying attention to you. Okay? That's it. We're gonna tell you that you space bullies you're encroaching on my territory. Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so let's just say they are raising awareness. In order to raise awareness, people have to pay attention to it. In order for there to be even awareness, period. It's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Asgardia doesn't make a freaking sound. That's the problem.
There is a role for them, especially with that story you brought up, Joe. Because look at that. I mean, hours later, asteroid collision with Earth ruled out by NASA. Hours later.
I'm not saying that they're not I'm not saying that they're concerned.
Do you think this is like a problem reaction solution? We're all going to crap ourselves and say we need the Asgardian Defense Force to protect us from things like this in the
Imagine if
future.
the little thumb drive is actually like a laser of epic proportions that can like shield the planet.
Maybe it's like a tesseract. Maybe it's just like a little,
tesseract.
a little tiny little. And it's just going to. Telling you, dude. You never know, man. You never know.
That's
This
badass.
huge
I
asteroid,
would love
this huge asteroid's going to be coming in, and then like the Asgardian CubeSat's going to activate and like cover the Earth in this defensive shield, and then like the asteroid's going to just like vaporize before it hits.
it's going to vaporize, but that's the plan because
our little buddy there, our what's his name?
Igor Gargantuan.
Lembit.
Yeah.
Limbic Opic.
Yeah, Limbic. He's gonna pop up and he's gonna be like, yeah, you guys laughed.
Yeah,
You
see,
guys-
we told you. It's like Revenge of the Nerds. What's his name? The main character there with the glasses, like that. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah,
I can just see it now.
laugh at us.
But see,
thought
what
it
you
was all
don't realize, though, is that's part of the plan. See, part of the plan is I've already deciphered this. This is how long I've been doing this, so I see what's going on. So they throw up their super powerful tesseract that can go and vaporize these incoming asteroids. But see, the entities that have sent that asteroid already knew that and planted their eggs well within this asteroid. So when it gets vaporized, it actually melts the water.
And there's
But
an
the eggs
octopus inside
survive
it.
into the oceans, and then the army of octopus are going to come out, and they're going to basically suck all our brains out. And
that's when we need the 1,000
Comes up-
ninjas. That's when the 1,000 ninjas are going to come out of cryogenics and they're going to save the world.
octopus, the octopus people from Europa.
Telling you, man. Crisis octopus. You know, people will say it's all fake when it happens, right?
I wonder, do they have therapy octopus? I would love to bring my therapy octopus to Walmart one day. Kind of like, this is my therapy pony on the plane. This is my therapy octopus, Walter.
Oh, I think I'm going to wet myself, seriously. Guys, come on, man. Give me a break here. My ribs are sore. I can barely breathe at the best of times. I'm about to piss myself. Come on, man. Give me a break.
I mean,
So can we agree that Asgardia does not have the most impressive military or fighting force?
Well, if their main man that heads up the parliament's anything to go by, no. He would struggle taking on the terracotta army, dude. He's not. I'm not impressed with this guy. Although he did date a cheeky girl, and from a toxic male like myself, hats off, Lembit. Hats off. If anyone doesn't know who the cheeky girls are, musical non-geniuses, but very, very aesthetic on the eye. So I don't know, maybe he's packing a punch. Maybe this guy, maybe when he transforms into his Asgardian gear, maybe he's like, I don't know, maybe like Tony Stark, Maybe he's like Iron Man or something.
What do you think's going to happen the day that, like, say, India decides they're going to give it a second go, And as their rocket is like hurtling through trying to get to the moon, like the fin clips Asgardia and just takes it out. And then India's like, oh, sorry about that. What's Asgardia going to do? Their entire country has been destroyed by the fin of an Indian rocket that just kind of.
I know. Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Oops. Sorry about that.
We're going to take this to the world court. Well, yeah, but technically you don't belong to the world, you see, so you can't really bring it there.
You can't play both sides of the cosmic divide, You're either terra firma or you're out of here.
That's right.
We're going to summon the Council of Space Nation. Oh, we were the only space nation.
Damn it.
Damn.
Guys.
Well, he's the ambassador after all, isn't that right? I mean, they had, whatever you want to call him.
The head
what else? In the grab bag of death. That was a really good one there.
I don't know. We've only got 3 minutes before the break, so yeah.
Well, I've got a little filler. The Smoking Gun just came out with a ex-con 48 who was convicted and back behind bars for a wet willy attack.
No, wet willy? What? You can get jailed for a wet willy attack?
Apparently so. The man convicted of battery after subjecting his longtime girlfriend to a wet willy is back behind bars after allegedly violating terms of his probation sentence.
Wet willy, Joe. Get you in the ear. Look.
That gets you in the slammer. Joseph Zarecki, 48, is scheduled for an October 14th probation violation hearing in Fort Pierce, Florida. Now, he's locked up without bond in the county jail and is accused of refusing weekly urinalysis tests and moving residences without informing his probation officer. Seen at night, Serecki was arrested last year for battering his 54-year-old living girlfriend. The woman told the cops she came home from work one evening to find Serecki drunk, laying on the living room floor. Earlier in the day, the woman wrote in a witness statement the intoxicated Serecki called her at work and said, "Order me a pizza, bitch, now." The victim said Serecki was arguing with her and being rude and began grabbing her arm and pulling her on her arm, and then continued by giving her a wet willy.
Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe. Lean towards the side, Joe, so I can give you a wet willy. Come on, man. No, other side, dude. Other side. Come on. There you go. Wet willy, Joe. We got him. We got him.
Since Serecki's rap sheet included burglary, for which he was sentenced to 3 years in state prison, the wet willy attack was charged as battery. Serecki pleaded no contest to the charge and was sentenced in December to 5-year probation and the 120 days in jail he had already served. He also was ordered to pay fines totaling $1,150. As part of his probation, he was required to undergo substance abuse evaluation and submit to weekly urinalysis training. Testing. He was also barred from using any drugs without a prescription and was not allowed to have any contact with the victim. Yes. So that's no more wet willies for him. That was a very, very expensive wet willy for him.
I didn't think you could actually get like...
Come here, where's my pizza? Get over here.
I give up. I give up, man. Wet willy, they ain't getting the jail for it. Who knew? Who knew? We have got one segment to go right here on what's developing into a really bizarre Freaky Friday. These ones are always the memorable ones. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere. Dang, dude. Dang. Imagine it, eh? Who thought it? I never thought the wet willy would ever find its place on its way on to Freaky Friday, but it did. It did.
So you guys know you were talking about the Asgard ass hattery. Well, according to other ass hattery, the Express. Asteroid collision with Earth ruled out by NASA. Hours later, it smashes into the Caribbean, just like you said. See, those Asgardians were right. It says here, a small asteroid. An asteroid came crashing down to Earth, and NASA had no idea it was coming. And it reiterates the need to keep a closer eye on the sky in case a massive space rock does come hurtling towards our planet. A small asteroid shot towards the Earth at 14.9 kilometers per second, and NASA admitted it didn't know it was coming. 2019 MO was just 3 meters wide and exploded when it hit the planet's atmosphere on 22 July above the Caribbean. But the way it approached unexpectedly reaffirms the need for more eyes in the sky, NASA said. Quote, when first spotted, 2019 MO was about 310,000 miles from Earth, farther out than the orbit of our moon. This was roughly the equivalent of spotting something the size of a gnat from a distance of 310 miles. David Farrugia, a scientist at NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies, said, asteroids this size are far smaller than we're tasked to track. They're too small, and they would not survive passing through our atmosphere to cause damage to the Earth's surface. The problem was, NASA said, the space agency could not determine where the space rock was heading. So it's not so much the fact that it exploded in our atmosphere, because they don't really give a crap about a 3-meter size asteroid. It's the fact that they couldn't figure out which way it was going. Okay. But if you don't care about a 3-meter rock at that distance, at any distance, then what do you care if something is that small, if it's going to burn up in our atmosphere? Why do you care what way it goes? Now, the bigger ones, if we had a problem with the bigger ones, I would say, okay, that's a problem. We can't figure out which way it's going. Those things are going to hurt if it hits us. So we don't want it to hit us, or we want to know ahead of time if it's going to hit us so we can, when in wonder or in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. And, kind of just get a little heads up. But we don't need that for a 3-meter asteroid. So who cares that you can't figure out which way it's going?
Well, I think the point being brought up is if they can't figure out which way a 3-meter asteroid is going, how was there any confidence that they could figure out, which way a larger asteroid is going?
Why not? I mean, think about it. It's like, okay, I might not be able to see a gnat at 310 miles, but I could probably see a city bus and figure out probably a little better which way it's going because, more light hits it, bigger reflection. Chances are I'm going to have a better idea of the direction just based on its size, But 3 meters, yeah, I could see that. That's kind of hard to see for any telescope.
Here we go, guys. Here we go. Stand by. Bringing it in now. Here we go.
Right. All right, then.
Shut it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Very, very nice. Thank you. Hello, Limbit Opic here. And just wanted to say thank you, Kev Baker, for bringing up Asgardia tonight and just telling everybody how mighty and
don't do
crazy.
that, dude, because I'm seriously going to reach out to the guy. I'm going
We're
to try
like
and get him on the
rabid
show.
dogs. We are. We really defend our territory. It's very important to us.
When I determine to get a guest, I'll get them. I'm going to get him on the show, guys. I'll get him on here.
Now, I'm going to make fun of him the whole time. So, yeah, it's all good.
We've got some spooky woo in the chat room. Some spooky woo. Oh, what Scott sent us here.
Oh, excellent, Scotty. Very nice. I'll be right back. Yeah, sure.
Any website called the Daily Grail, it needs attention. What have we got, Scott?
Once again, I'm going through my grab bag here and trying to keep it Freaky Friday and keep the woo dialed up and
try and stop us slipping into the utterly bizarre and ridiculous, right?
So, we've discussed the Ouija board before, and I think we can all agree that the Ouija board is probably not a good thing to be playing around with. And I would say, maybe unless you know what you're doing, but even then, do we even really know what we're doing when we're messing with a Ouija board, right? So, I don't know. This caught my attention because now it looks like we have a little bit of a tech starting to get involved in the Ouija board.
You knew it was going to happen, didn't you? You knew it was going to happen, dude.
So, this is from the Daily Grail, and it says, 21st century spiritualism. Researcher develops a high-tech Ouija board tracking system. Now, this is interesting. This could get pretty interesting. I haven't read through this, but
it's the best way, Scott. I'm finding, right, the best way to do this sometimes is read it raw, and then people get your genuine first reaction, man.
Exactly. This piqued my attention. That it's definitely a very interesting headline, and me and you were both into the tech, and we never kind of thought that we've talked about Ouija boards and stuff before, but having the two kind of collide, I think, is a very interesting thing. So it says the Ouija board remains an object of fascination in the 21st century, despite or perhaps because of its vintage feel and rudimentary equipment. A board with some letters on it, or in some cases just no options, and a movable pointer, planchette, for participants to put their hands on, a simple setup from which otherworldly communication appears to flow. Ouija seems like a throwback to the era of 19th century spiritualism, sitting quiet in a room with friends or family and allowing spirits to take control of the conversation. For some, it's just a fun game that can have surprising results. For others, it's considered a dangerous pastime that can invite malevolent forces into your life. And I agree with the latter. I think that is probably the more likely scenario there.
I agree.
It says, for scientists and skeptics, though, it's a prime example of people fooling themselves via what is known as the ideomotor effect. As the Wikipedia article for Ouija states, the action of the board can be parsimoniously explained by unconscious movements of those controlling the pointer, a psychophysiological phenomenon known as the ideomotor effect. But despite the apparent consensus of the ideomotor effect being behind the mystery of the Ouija board, there has actually been very little scientific research done into determining the mechanisms at work in how the planchette spells out answers to questions asked by Ouija participants. However, Dr. Eckhart Kruse, an applied computer scientist at Baden-Württemberg
Brilliant.
Cooperative
Bergen.
Frankfurter Bergen.
Yes, a Württemberg Cooperative State University in Germany.
Well, I like that, how you went Württembergen. I like that. That's good.
Yes.
Good.
Has now created a camera and software-based system that can serve as a tool for future Ouija research. So now we've got some Ouija research going on. Very interesting. Cruise's Ouija
I thought for a second you were going to say fecal Ouija research, and I was like, wow, that's like one of those bad, like, it's like a demonic fetish video.
It's getting like messy now, man. Oh.
Ooh, yeah. No. I don't know if we want to go that route.
Not yet.
Yeah. Cruise's Ouija tracking system grew out of his fascination with the game and early attempts to record his sessions. He said, "My idea to bring some technical devices to Ouija sessions was initially triggered by mere convenience. In the course of regular sessions, writing down letters on paper was tedious and often not fast enough, so I switched over to speech recognition, but still prone to errors when speech recognition picked up questions or voices from other sitters, so I finally developed a setup that allows complete tracking and spelling support in real time during the Ouija sessions." Cruise's Ouija tracking setup utilizes a webcam and Java-based software to detect the position and motion of two colored dots on the planchette in order to track the letters traced out during a session, along with sensors to detect the pressure of fingers on the planchette and its movement. In a paper published in the most recent Journal of Scientific Exploration, a camera-based tracking system for Ouija research, Kruse gives details of his open source tech setup along with examples from his 50-plus Ouija sessions using it and how it might inform future research into the topic. For example, he notes the following observations and data obtained through his tracking system. Throughout the course of the recorded Ouija sessions, a development toward faster and more accurate spelling was observed. Initially, letters were frequently jumbled. Focus was on yes-no answers, and total text output was limited to a few hundred characters, often with meaningless phrases. In later sessions, jumbled letters or errors of orthography were rare, typically less than 1% of the spelled characters, and total output increased. For example, a session on 12/30/2018 lasted 2 hours and 10 minutes and yielded 4,799 characters. On average, a character every 1.75 seconds. Due to pauses for questions at the beginning and the end of the session, actual spelling was faster, about 1.3 to 1.5 seconds per character. Maximum speed was about 100 cms, with almost 1 character per second. Kruse also notes that his preliminary data challenges prevailing assumptions about the ideomotor effect, such as the claim that meaningful responses from the Ouija board may be emergent property of interacting and predicting minds that increasingly impose structure on initially random events in Ouija sessions.
Can I just jump in there, Scott? Just listening to you before, it even gives you a little breather, right, before you get back into it. But forget the Ouija board. Joe, you speak to me on this one, right? Yeah, cool. We've got the Ouija board, right, which we can use as a conduit to communicate. But in reality, that these things are all around us anyway, right? We don't need the Ouija board. No.
It's just a way to channel your energy and your concentration.
And how much do you think, guys, when you're doing a Ouija board, I'll ask you this, Scott, right? Because we found when we done this in college, we really had a problem because we were thinking that maybe we were the actual ones that were subconsciously pushing the glass. Not knowingly, but it was our energy that was coming through. It wasn't anything demonic. It wasn't anything otherworldly. We were honestly thinking at one point, what if this is us? Our energy, kinetic energy, telekinesis. So I don't know what the word to put on it, dude.
Almost like a tulpa or something.
Yeah.
Your intent is spelling it out or whatever, and you're sort of manifesting results that you want. I think that could be in play as well, but I think it all depends on your intent, right? If you're going in and you're wanting to channel something or get in contact with something, I think chances are you're going to, because you have that intent in your mind, and that's what you're focused on. That's what you're focusing your energy into. So, yeah, exactly. Let's see what he says here about this, because it seems like his the way he set up the this technology, in these sessions, it's kind of challenging the whole ideomotor theory that they say is causing people to answer stuff. He says, if that was the case, one should expect that once structure is established, i.e. a meaningful beginning of a word or sentence, the spelling becomes easier and quicker. Sometimes this was the case in our data, but in general, there was no correlation between spelling speed and the number of meaningful letter choices. Or in other terms, the ease with which the next letter could have been guessed. Also, sessions typically started right away with clear and meaningful sentences which do not at all appear like initial random events that are only gradually molded into German phrases. The tracking software also allowed researchers to pick up on less obvious movements of the planchette. During one session with the 4 sitters, the response to a question did not touch any letters, but instead the planchette simply made a swift motion that none of the sitters initially recognized. After it occurred 2 times, one of the sitters suggested it might be a heart, and a check of the motion trace captured by the software confirmed that this was indeed the case. And you can see the picture there, actually, which is pretty interesting. So instead of actually spelling out letters, it was drawing.
Wow.
So it would have been something that they would have not picked up on unless they went back and looked at the data and saw that they actually drew a heart on the Ouija board. And so it looks like maybe some of these like random motions, when you see the planchette moving around on the board and it's not really spelling anything out, it could actually be drawing something for people and they're just not recognizing it at the time. Scroll down that page, Kev, and you'll see the picture. It drew a heart. They drew a heart and they didn't, right there. And when they were able to go back and look at the data, they were able to see that it drew a heart. So that's very interesting.
Wow.
It says, overall, Kruse notes that his preliminary experiments with his prototype Ouija tracking system offer the following useful observations, including the possibility of psi effects assisting the movement of the planchette. Well, there you go, Kev. Remember, you're talking about
right, exactly,
and intent. So
psi effects, yeah.
So it could be something like that. It says, when hitting a letter, details of the motion path, cusps versus smooth curves, could indicate whether the next letter is already anticipated, hinting at conscious or unconscious knowledge of how the spelling will proceed. The time needed to spell the next letter was only weakly related to its guessability, i.e. the number of choices to construct meaningful words, in contrast to Anderson's statement about imposing structure on initially random events. According to the experiments with the touch sensor, it is the sitter's fingers that are moving first, then the planchette follows. This complies with the ideomotor explanation. If there were psychokinetic effects, it seems likely would be the other way around, and that the fingers would be following the actions of the planchette. Often, 2 sitters were able to move the planchette I can't talk tonight.
Good man.
Synchronistically, similar to the volatonal or volitional spelling of a given message. This challenges convenient ideomotor explanations, as these would require some negotiation process regarding the next unknown target. Even though this might happen unconsciously, it would require some time for information transmitted between the sitters and potentially some delay in the action of one sitter, causing similar rotations as when one sitter voluntarily leads the planchette, unless there are side effects explaining the synchronicity. So it's very interesting.
That is pretty cool, that love heart, though, eh?
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's interesting. That is. I like the way this guy's thinking about this. I like that. I like out-the-box thinking. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and I never thought anybody would apply some, modern technological science and research to the old Ouija board. I just thought that was pretty interesting. Kind of caught my eye when I saw that come across there. And think about this. What if one day they decide that they're going to have an AI operate a Ouija board? What do you think would happen?
Ooh.
That's a toughie. I don't know. Wow. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything.
Yeah, I mean, you take some of this crazy kind of weird, stuff like Ouija boards and the spiritual and the esoteric, and you start mixing it with technology. I think things will get kind of weird. I think it'll get very weird.
Yeah, I think so too. You know what else will make it weird? According to the Daily Star, Japan set to dump contaminated Fukushima water into the ocean as storage runs out. As if they weren't doing it already, right? But now they're having to, we've done everything we can do. Now we have to do it. And of course, it's been 8 years since Fukushima. 8 years
already, dude.
2011. Yeah. It says countries are gathering to prevent Japan's dumping nuclear waste from Fukushima's power plant disaster into the ocean. The plant suffered a catastrophic meltdown. It was a 9 magnitude earthquake shook it in 2011. A tsunami then swamped the nuclear reactors and triggered a massive radiation leak. Tokyo Electric is currently running out of tank space at the plant used to store the wastewater. It expects the storage will be taken up by mid-2022. And of course, it's actively seeking alternatives, one of which is reportedly the ocean. The South Korean government has now sent a letter to the IAEA in opposition of the move. The Ministry of Science and ICT, in a press conference in Seoul on Thursday, said it plans to take joint measures with the international community to search for a safe way to handle radioactive water from the Fukushima plant. Seoul also plans to raise the issue at the IAEA General Conference in Vienna, Austria, from September 16th to the 20th. But despite calls to action, industry insiders assert that these organizations have no authority to regulate Japan. The Japanese government has invited foreign diplomats from 22 countries to Tokyo and made its plans public. It says it has not yet made a final decision on how to handle the contaminated water. Futuba on the Fukushima prefecture was turned into a ghost town after the incident, but authorities are now planning to reopen the town despite warnings of worrying high levels of radiation. Those hoping to travel there will need to apply for permission to enter before they will be allowed to pass the checkpoint. It's thought the town could be rebuilt and ready for evacuees to move back in by 2022, provided it reaches government set safe levels of contamination. So the thing is if here's the issue, right? Is these maps that we see. First of all, do we have any active radiation maps out there of the Pacific Ocean?
And could we trust them?
That we could see right now, live, like a live feed or something, from some sort of reputable institution. I can't say I trust what I see, but I can't also say I trust them either.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And after seeing the way Chernobyl was handled, you have to consider the fact that Japan has totally blundered this, and blundered it not basically in a way. First of all, you and we've done it here in the United States. We build these stupid reactors on fault lines and on coasts. Like, what are you thinking?
And all that, we keep the reactors going long after their their lifespan. They're only supposed to be operational for what, like 20 years, and a lot of these have been operating for like 40 years plus, if not more, almost 50 years. And so they're operating well beyond what they're supposed to be.
Life, right.
Yeah, exactly.
And but interestingly enough, we continue to do it, and we have no place to put this stuff. Even the stuff that's safely used and safely disposed of, it's never disposed. It's put in these pools or these concrete like coffins, if you will, and there these rods sit. And there's no way we really dispose of them. We used to do it at Hannaford and make nuclear weapons out of our spent nuclear fuel, but we don't do that anymore. Or
can you imagine the poor bastards in the future? There's some future civilization that's like digging down, doing archaeological research, and they just hit one of these dumps that we dumped a crap load of radioactive material, and they talk about. They talk about people getting sick whenever they opened up King Tut's tomb and stuff. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different sarcophagus or tomb you don't want to open up. Oh, wow.
This is an interesting time capsule the humans have here. And they like melt their face off. Yeah, I know. The issue you have is, like say the meteor thing happens. And there's some sort of cataclysm. Instantly, you have all these reactors melting down all over the world. Just that in and of itself is bad. And that's the thing that I wish people would consider. We do all this prep and all that kind of stuff. That's all well and good, but you have to remember all these reactors in these affected areas, they're all melting down.
Yep.
You're screwed. Even if there's no nuclear war, it doesn't matter, you're screwed. All these reactors are going to melt down. How the hell are they're just all going to be safely shut down? How? It can't happen. So we're all going to die. Sorry, Joe.
I think I have a solution,
Joe.
guys.
Myself and Scott do have a solution, but it's purely for off-air when it comes
Stargates or the moon? Which one?
Stargates. No. Cool.
My solution. I think we need to send the one man over there who can set Japan straight.
Popeye?
I think we need to send Limbit.
Exactly, dude. He can put his finger in Fukushima and stop it.
He's gonna show up there. He's gonna show them that Asgardia is not a nation to be messed with.
See, I'm going a different route. I'm going a different route. I'm going with the European octopus people. And I'm going to get them to plug the hole for us. And they will, because they can.
Yes.
But it's going to cost us. We'll have to be their slaves for 1,000,000 years. But it's okay, because they're actually very nice slave owners.
But for real, though, serious. I mean, the Fukushima is one hell of a shit, isn't it? I mean, how do you... They're in a lose-lose situation, Scotty. And, I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys, read anything about it, but remember they were so, but they don't let people from they're not letting anybody from the outside, like any international teams or anything, go in and try and help, are they?
No.
As far as I know, they're like, no, we have this taken care of. Stay away. We're not letting you in. You know
what it is? I think it's more of a they're doing what is probably considered adequate in the eyes of international scrutiny. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, we've got these diplomats coming over. Okay, we've got this happening. Okay, there, people from 22 nations are coming together to find alternatives. Yeah. But
I think the aliens that actually own this planet are quite happy with the way things are going. They feed off the toxic nuclear crap that's all around this place. You know, it's the only thing that makes sense, because why would humans do this to their own planet?
Yeah,
Why would we do this to ourselves?
they feed on. They feed.
Somebody
feed
says
on
call
radiation.
Flash Gordon. We could call Flash Gordon, or we could get Asgardia to send them a really sternly worded letter, Joe.
I found by cracky. We're out of time. Speaking of that,
I know, it's been absolutely fantabulous. It's been brilliant. And Joe, you
Had a
look so
great
good in HD. You look so good, man. Not that good, but you look good, dude. You know what I mean?
yeah, a face made for radio. Well, thank you for the suggestion for the camera. It worked out swimmingly.
Yes, exactly. It even makes my radio face somewhat palatable. So yeah,
Oh, man,
Logitech
definitely.
it's an amazing camera. You know, it's like no filters on, but hey, we'll need to get filters for the next time. Imagine we
Yes.
got like Snapchat filters for like doing this. This would be so cool, man.
My God.
Joe don't need filters. Hashtag no filter.
Now remember,
Hashtag
folks,
no
before
filter.
we go, don't go anywhere, because coming up on tfrlive.com, you think the woo has kind of gone to a different level here. Brent Thomas is going to take it to another level again when he invites you, that's all of you, through the paranormal portal. If you're on YouTube, I highly, highly recommend you head on over to tfrlive.com to continue this woo fest this Freaky Friday. I'll be back with the chaps tomorrow, hopefully, on the live stream. I say hopefully. I'm going to be there anyway. I hope you all are too. Until next time, wherever you are, make it TFR and Dinny touch that dial. And for everyone on YouTube, let me just thank all of you for being an absolutely amazing chat room today. You know, half the time I didn't know whether to listen to the guys or watch the chat, because it was just, everything was on topic.
Everybody is clicking tonight.
Nobody got kicked out the chat. It's probably the most free speech chat room that there is here on YouTube. And yet we
That's
all
right.
managed to get to the end of the show. Nobody fell out. We're all happy. We all lived to tell the tale. And look what happened there. 3 hours of having fun,
Now,
conversation.
I'm going to leave.
So we are all going to leave, Joe. Don't you worry. Don't do your usual, right?
I'm going to do my usual.
No, you can't do
because-
your usual, Joe. Let me put... I've got new music, Joe. You have to let me put on my new music, right? So you can see that there's new music in the house. Yes, give me 2 seconds and I'll fire up
All
the
right,
new
cue
tunes,
up your
right?
music. Cue up your music. But,
Okay,
but
here we go.
I'm going to go enjoy a wonderful documentary on octopuses.
Oh,
now.
excellent. Well, wait till you hear this, dude, because this is like better music now, right? Honestly. Here we go, right? Do your thing now, Joe. Do it. See? There goes Joe. Tomorrow, folks,